All right. It's been a while, I think. I don't even know if I remember how to do any of this stuff. It's been, what has it been? 2 weeks? 3 weeks, Jez? I'm not even really sure. How
3
long has it
weeks?
been?
I think it's been like 3
We're
weeks,
even
yeah.
on a different day. What's going on here? Thursdays. Uh
Yeah, it's a little bit chaotic, but, we're staying on brand because Xbox likes chaos.
I mean, I suppose so. And
Oh, boy.
yeah, I didn't even know if this is really working. Make sure look at chat and see if everything sounds fine because we haven't tried any of this in a while, and I feel like I'm fresh and new at this. But anyways, it's the Xbox 2 podcast, episode 410. It's been a bit. Normally, like we would have done a show after the showcase, like on that Monday or Tuesday. But Jez was like, I'm gonna spend time over in LA, so that realistically wasn't a thing. And then I got really sick, which Jez, you know about. Uh, and yeah, it was very very bad. I was
That
really
was,
really really sick.
that was spooky. What was it called that you had?
I
What
don't
was the
know.
illness?
I don't know, but I was in a world of pain and it was not fun. And then
Hard to pronounce.
yeah, but it's all good now. It's all good now. And then what happened? Oh yeah, tornadoes galore in Illinois,
Tornadoes.
bro.
Is that usual? Is that
I
usual
mean,
for
we'll get
Illinois?
tornadoes here and there and stuff, but for whatever reason, this past like couple weeks, some of the worst storms I've ever seen. Like
Hmm.
I happened to have been just like kind of like in my room reading, and all of a sudden my phone goes off and gives this weird notification, and I look at it and it's like take shelter, you
Oh, boy.
know, and I'm like what the hell, and I like walk out in the kitchen, and the sky is like green, the like the rain's coming down like a sheet, and like all the trees are bending almost to the ground. I'm like, and you can just hear. I'm like, what is going on? And then power went out, and then power was out for 2 days, which was a lot of fun with the power being out for 2 days,
Oh my god.
because we were supposed to do a show on Friday, but I couldn't because I literally had no power, and I didn't have power for 2 days, so it was like that was a lot of fun. Uh, Man, there's really not a lot to do when there's no power, is there, huh? But we have power.
Indeed.
I was a little concerned because we were supposed to have a bad storm yesterday, but storm was fine. Uh, and then Jez is going on vacation tomorrow, so he's like, I can't really do the show tomorrow, so let's do it Thursday. And I'm like, okay, but Thursdays are bad for me. And I was like, I don't know if we can do it today. We're gonna have to at least delay it for a couple hours. And then I was eventually like, I don't know, maybe just I'll do the show tomorrow with the guest. And you're like, then I'm bringing my fucking microphone on vacation with me. You were like really like, I don't care. I'm telling my girlfriend we're gonna podcast. I'm like, okay. And then, but
A podcast from the
eventually,
beach, bro.
yeah, podcasting on the beach from the. Where are you going, anyways?
We're just going to the North Coast. Just, seaside sort of staycation kind of thing. Well, is it a staycation technically? I don't know. We're not going anywhere
Bad
exotic.
things happen when you go on vacation, or not necessarily bad things, but notable things happen when you go on vacation at
It's
Xbox.
often is bad
Often
things.
is this like
I mean,
literally every single time.
well, one of the things I've noticed, like I was trying to work out why this happens, and it's because I usually take a vacation after Summer Game Fest and E3, which is also the end of Microsoft's fiscal year. So, like,
True, true, true.
if Microsoft's gonna do bad things, it's gonna be like when I'm on vacation during the end of June, which is usually when I try and take a little vacation or something. So, I mean, it's not. I suppose it's not as coincidental as you might think, but yeah, I do expect things will probably go down next week or the week after, and it's probably not going to be pretty based on all the rumors flying around right now.
A lot
But
of
we're going to
rumors,
get
a
into
lot of
some of those rumors in a bit.
speculation, a lot of
Speculation. Yep. Yep.
lot of things going on here. But yeah, welcome in everybody. Hopefully everyone's doing well and you enjoying this episode on a Thursday. If you are, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you're always notified whenever we go live. This is episode 410, I think.
That's,
Uh,
I think that's correct.
410 on this. What is
Hmm.
this? June 18th, I think.
June 18th.
So let's do some housekeeping and then we'll get right into it because we know why people are here. I mean, let's face it. They want to hear about the bisexual lighting in GTA 6, right? Is that
Bisexual lighting.
is this what
Oh my
is
god,
that what
that
the
is my
is that what the internet's
favorite.
talking about right now? It's like the purples, the what are the colors? It's just the purples, right?
It's purple, right? I think it's
The
purple.
purples, the purples.
It's
The oranges
purple
maybe,
and
like
blue.
sunsets and stuff, I
Yeah, so
guess. I don't know,
some
I'm not
people in
sure.
chat some people in chat are thankfully confused about this, but apparently there's this conspiracy theory going around on Twitter that like if a game has purple lighting,
In any
it's
way.
somehow it's like
It's pushing
it's
an
pushing an
agenda.
agenda.
It's an agenda.
Pushing an agenda, y'all. It's
Yeah.
like, come the fuck on, man.
GTA 6,
Jesus
man.
Christ, what are we
GTA 6
doing,
is
man?
woke, bro. Just so
A GTA
woke.
6, the game where you can
Do whatever you want.
like shoot everyone, civilians, run over prostitutes. That game is woke. Come on,
The game's beyond woke, bro. But hey,
man. Oh man, I
pre-orders
don't
are
know.
starting next week. In fact, a week from now, I believe. The
Are you gonna
25th.
pre-order?
No, I mean, I'll pre-order the game. This is the sort of thing I don't really get. Like, I'll pre-order a game like the day before. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I don't really understand the idea of pre-ordering a digital game like 5-6 months before it comes out. I don't get it. Unless I guess
But
the
what if they run
only
out of digital copies, bro?
oh yeah, I mean yeah, I mean what if they do? I guess maybe the only reason I could see is if like you're
Pre-order
worried you're
bonus.
not going to have money by the time it comes out and
Oh,
you have money in your account now because from what I understand, PlayStation when you pre-order a game, they take the money out of your account immediately.
but
Xbox
Xbox doesn't, does it?
Xbox doesn't. They'll take it out like 10 days before release. I'm not sure how Steam does it to be honest. I'm not sure if they
I can't
are
remember. I've never
we're on
pre-ordered
the
on Steam.
Xbox side of things or a PlayStation. So the only like reasonable I guess explanation I see for somebody like needing to pre-order it today when it comes out in 5 months or whatever is that they're not sure they're going to have the money available in 6 months. Or maybe they just want it to get over with. Be like, I just want the money gone from my account now, and just not have to worry about it. I suppose.
What about like a pre-order bonus exclusive purple
Yeah,
vehicle
purple.
or something?
I mean, those
Yeah.
things are. But like I said, you can get those up until the second the game comes out. So I mean, whenever I always just pre-order the game like the day before, so I can pre-install it and be ready to go at midnight whenever it launches. You know, I that's the way I've always done it. But yeah, that's gonna happen next week, and I don't know. I've seen some people suggest that the game's gonna get delayed again because they removed the date of from the website or something.
Yeah, the date's missing from the website.
Oh
Like I couldn't
no!
find it.
Ooh,
So some people are like, "Oh
ooh.
shit, does that mean it's gonna get delayed?" Oh no. That would be funny, wouldn't it?
It would be. I'd laugh.
I posted it. I posted a tweet the other day
Could
where
you
it was
imagine
like,
if it got
"Oh
delayed and it was like, by the way, we're releasing February 30th or February 28th, and everybody who is in February is like, motherfucker. Like,
no!"
well,
Well, couldn't they move their games back potentially, unless
well,
they
actually, we
I don't
move
know.
it back, move it from 2027 into 2026 to like
Yeah, delay it. I don't
undelay
know.
it. Yeah,
I
could
don't
you
know.
imagine if that happened? Like, by the way, we're delaying it till like February, and all the games of February, like, son of a bitch.
I
Like,
almost want it to be delayed just for the chaos, man.
it would be funny.
Just for the chaos. It would be funny. And
It'd be quite hysterical.
there's so much to play. There's so much to play. September is fucking stacked, bro. Like
Yeah, I
what
mean,
what
between the
it's
PlayStation show, the Xbox show, and SGF, like
it's crazy.
the
And these are like
September and early October is
yeah.
packed to the gills. Good luck for people's
It's
wallets and their free time and stuff because Jesus. I mean, even me
it's
looking
not
at
even
it, I'm
like
like, I'm gonna play Wolverine. I'm gonna play Gears. I want to play. I kind of want to play Rayman Legends Retold. I want to play
That's
Control
cute.
Resonant. I want to play Aminutia.
On minutia.
Well, I say things wrong. That's part of the charm of the show. Is I can't speak proper English. Aminutia.
Can't
Uh,
can't talk
what else is
properly.
what else is coming out?
That Blood of the Dawnwalker.
Yeah, Blood
That
of the Dawnwalker looks
Witcher
cool.
game.
Uh,
Is Immortal Shell coming out
the
around then?
Hellraiser game comes out early October, which is
I played that.
interesting.
I played Hellraiser.
I'm,
I played Hellraiser.
Those are just some of the games on the top of my head, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's like that. And I was gonna say, like, those are the big ones. Like, there's a lot of like smaller and indie kind of games that are launching in that time frame as well. Like Phantom Blade Zero. People in chat saying Phantom Blade Zero
yeah,
is
that
launching
comes out.
October.
That comes out the end of
and
October. Yeah.
Yeah, Ace Combat 8, Final Fantasy Resonance, which looks really good. I don't know if you've looked into Final Fantasy Resonance a bit.
No, I don't really care about that.
No. I mean, dude, I wouldn't write that off. Like,
I wrote
like
it
people
off.
I've spoke to.
I wrote it off.
But don't you like the turn-based Final Fantasy?
Nah, I mean,
Apparently, it's based on Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, which apparently had a really good story. So, and a lot of people who've played that, they've de-gatched it and de-mobile phoned it and made it into like a proper game. And everyone I've spoke to said it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm actually like pretty excited about Final Fantasy Resonance. But yeah, we haven't even talked about what if Modern Warfare 4 is good this year.
Oh yeah, Modern Warfare 4 comes out in October this year.
We don't even think about that shit. It's like there's just so much stuff coming out. There's Mortal Shell 2.
A lot of games. Mortal Shell
Valor
2.
Mortis.
Zelda. Well, that got delayed already, didn't it?
Did it?
I'm pretty sure Valor Mortis got delayed, like 2 days after they announced the release date, because it was like, because they were supposed to come out September 24th, and they're like, everybody's already here, right? Let's delay our game.
There's Star Wars Galactic Racer, which is pretty good.
Which is in October. Yeah.
Isn't there a Star Wars XCOM game coming out towards the end of the year?
No, August 27th, like end of August. Yeah, Star Wars XCOM.
Oh, okay. Game. So
well, then the new Plague's Tale is like August 27th on my birthday.
Yeah. So Valor Mortis launches on October 13th, which is my birthday.
There's the new Silent Hill.
New Silent Hill. Jesus, what are we doing? What's the industry doing? Like, people can't afford to buy all these games.
They're clearing the blast zone, bro. They're clearing the zone for GTA. And this funny was it isn't the only game that's currently scheduled for November besides GTA, like some Barbie game or some shit. Or something along those lines. Although, I would not be shocked if that Ocarina of Time game, the new Zelda, or the remake of the Zelda, if that actually releases in November as well. Because, well, GTA 6 isn't going to be on the Switch 2, so...
Yeah, true.
Wouldn't that be hilarious if Nintendo decided to go head-to-head with Rockstar and release it, like, the same day? Or, like, really close to it or something?
I'm going to say something controversial.
Okay.
If it was me and Ocarina and GTA was launched on the same day, I would buy Ocarina of Time, bro.
Yeah, okay.
I would.
Yeah, okay.
I would. I'd put GTA 6 aside. Do you know why, bro?
Why?
It's pushing an agenda, bro. I don't want GTA 6 again in my head, bro.
Yeah,
it's pushing an agenda.
Ocarina
of Time is anti-woke.
I never played Ocarina of Time.
You didn't?
I mean, I didn't own a 64, so I didn't play it. The only time I got to play 64 was I go to my friend's house. But I mean, we usually just played WCW versus NWO Ranch. You know.
Why is that with the southern accent?
I don't know, because I wanted to. But we would play that. So I never really got to play any of like the Zelda games or whatever. So I've only ever played two Zelda games. I played the original Zelda on the NES, and I played Wind Waker on the GameCube. That's it.
Oh shit! I've played more Zelda games than you. That's wild.
That is wild.
That's wild.
Crazy.
Yeah, Ocarina of Time. Like I have a nostalgia for that game. I remember kids at school arguing over what game was better, Final Fantasy VII or Ocarina of Time. That was funny. But yeah, there's also like Control Resonant. Like I played Control Resonant at Summer Game Fest. and it actually I enjoyed it so much that I came home, installed Control, completed Control in a weekend, and then also started playing FBC Firebreak.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I, nah, Firebreak ain't bad, you know. They've
Uh,
updated it a lot. It's not bad,
Nobody's playing
but
that game, bro.
it's yeah, it's dead. I mean, there's if you queue, you know, the people will join, but they're not updating it anymore. But point being that it made me a fan of Control. Like the world building is really good. I don't Control 1, like the gameplay's not that great, but Control 2, the gameplay was pretty great. And then I was like, I want to know more about this world because I didn't have a clue what was going on really. So I went back and played Control 1 and just for the world building. And now I'm like, now I'm a
Did you
Control fan.
play Alan Wake 2? Because that's
I know.
these things are all part of
No,
the same universe.
yeah, so like Control 1 has the whole Alan Wake expansion. There's like a whole like
Mm-hmm.
DLC all about Bright Falls. So I did that in Control, and that was a fantastic DLC, by the way. And now I'm just gonna like I'm probably gonna go through Alan Wake because it's available on Xbox Ally,
Yeah,
so that
there's
might be
the
my
Alan
game
Wake
that I
2,
play
and
next.
then one of the expansions is I think you play as one of the as like one of the FPC uh
Yeah. Control.
from Alan Wake 2 or whatever. But
Federal Bureau of
I
Control.
mean,
It's a
there's
fantastic universe.
yeah, there's
I
a
hope
lot.
that I hope because like we're gonna get into like the troubles in the industry in a minute, but Remedy's kind of sitting in that red zone, aren't they? With some of these other sort of studios that make sort of core traditional kind of games. Like,
Dude,
do you know what I mean?
I mean, if I
Narrative
was
kind of
Remedy,
focused games.
I'd be sweating a bit because I'm not sure. Like, I'm looking at the games coming out in September, and it's like, are you really sure you want to release your games alongside? Like, not only that, but you're coming out the same day as. Let me see if I say it properly. Aminusha,
Onimusha.
and Capcom's on this ungodly streak. So I guess the question you have to ask yourself is like, if you're in for a, I don't know, you're a melee kick because like they're both melee based games, right?
Yes.
Which one are you going to pick up? And Control and Alan Wake are kind of like the I don't know, what would you call them, cult hits, really, realistically, although I think Control did
Mm.
better than Alan Wake 2. But
Dude,
I, if I was like, I'd
here's
be like,
another weird thing. Here's another
I'd
weird
delay to
thing.
2027, but that's me.
Here's another weird thing I'm gonna say, which I'm surprised at myself for saying it. But at Summer Game Fest, I played Onimusha and Control Resonant basically back to back. And honestly, even though Onimusha had much better visuals and presentation, I think I had more fun with Control Resonant, honestly.
I mean, I could see
And
that because Control Resonant seems like it's more of the power fantasy of like Prototype and Infamous, where it's like you have a lot of cool abilities, you can basically kind of like
well,
fly and do all those sort of things. So it might be actually more appealing to some people. Where like
mm,
Amnesia's more of like
well,
a hack and slash
one of the
Sekiro
issues.
ish, right? No, it's not.
This is one of the things with Onimusha is like I think people are going into Onimusha thinking it's going to be like Sekiro, right? But the thing that the developers actually came out and they addressed this on Twitter. One of the issues with Onimusha is it's super easy. It's just too easy.
Okay,
And like
turn up the
in the
difficulty.
demo, I was playing it on maximum difficulty.
Mm,
So
you're just
uh,
a god then, I guess.
no, I'm not.
Us mere
I'm not.
mortals can't live
No.
up to your prowess.
You can play the demo yourself. You can play the demo yourself. Like play the demo yourself on normal. The enemy AI, like they just sort of stand around and wait for you to attack a lot of the time. So I think like, and the developers actually came up on Twitter and they were like, "Yeah, we're still tuning the difficulty and stuff like that." So um, I think like the people who are going into Onimusha expecting like a Sekiro kind of game, they're probably going to be disappointed. It's more like see, it's not even really like the originals because it has an almost comedic slant this time around. Like the originals were kind of they were based on the old Resident Evil engine, so they were practically survival horror. But this time around, it's like I don't know. I'm. It's I don't know, man. It's still. I think it's still going to be a great game, but I'm almost thinking like, is it going to land as well as I was expecting it to? I'm not so sure now. But like the game that I came away from Summer Game Fest thinking about the most, unexpectedly, was Control Resonant. I have to say, man. So
Hmm.
we'll see what happens. But like I said, like both games, I've only played a tiny sliver of. Um, I was also playing Mortal Shell 2, which, by the way, is fucking amazing. Um, that game just looks immaculate, and the combat feels really good. And yeah, there's just too much shit coming out, man. There's just too much stuff. But let's
And then
do
like
housekeeping, super
the
chats, and stuff.
beginning of next year is crazy too. I mean, you got Fable and you got a whole bunch of other stuff, right?
Mhm, mhm.
So,
That's true.
um,
Let's housekeep.
okay. Yeah. So this week's episode, Jez, is brought to us by our friends at Surfshark, correct?
That is correct, buddy. Rawr. This episode is sponsored by Surfshark VPN. Rawr, rawr, rawr. Do you want maximum internet privacy? Surfshark VPN is your all-in-one defense for maximum browsing in maximum privacy. Whether you're streaming shows from abroad, chatting online, or browsing the web, Surfshark keeps your data fully protected with lightning fast speeds and support for unlimited devices. For true internet freedom, Surfshark breaks down digital walls with ease. No more geoblocks and no more limits. Unlock global content, explore without borders, and enjoy a smoother, ad-free experience thanks to Surfshark's Clean Web feature, which blocks ads, trackers, and malware, all before they can take a bite out of your day. And with a strict with a strict no logs policy and RAM-based servers with advanced encryption, your browsing history will stay firmly with you. So here's the offer. Xbox 2 podcast listeners get an incredible 86% off a 2-year Surfshark plan. That works out to just $2 a month to keep your data away from shady government quangos, trackers, and other types of online annoyances. Take back your online freedom. Hit the link in the description to get started and search safely, surf securely, and surf with Surfshark. Rawr, rawr. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
VPN's been in the news a lot lately because the good old UK government is banning all under 16s from social media, including YouTube, which is absolutely hilarious. Um, it's doubly hilarious because they'll still be able to browse it without an account. They just won't be able to make an account, which makes no fucking sense to me. But you know, this government's for you. And and they're also talking about banning VPNs too, apparently. So that is fucking hilarious. But you know, even regimes like China haven't been able to ban VPNs fully. So more than ever, VPNs are a pretty good investment. And yeah, the link is in the description. I've been using them since we partnered up with them. Fantastic service, works really, really well. You can install it directly on your router and you can block the ads on your Samsung TV, which is something I do. You can surf on over to Netflix UK and get WWE and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's all fun and games. VPNs are becoming pretty essential, I would say. So yeah,
Indeed.
thanks for them for
Indeed.
sponsoring the show.
Yes. We also have the wonderful Patreon members of the XB2. Uh, question and answer thread is up, I believe, which we will get to at the end of the show. And we got some shout outs here for the Xbox 2 MVPs. We got Adam Bartolo, Alon Grogu, Asa T and Madison, Battered Haddock, Breeks Country, Bright Chandra 1, Silas, Deku 2511, Discarded Caboose, NX, Fantasticals, Glenn, Governor Grimm, I am Chuck Dub, I'm Mike Zero, Inner Machine, Jay Foley, James Moore, James Wiseau, Justin Duel, Just James 93, K-Trax, Laserwolf, Murray, Pat Rock, Frosty, RS Donk, Sean Kramer, Shay Elephant, Shrapnel, The Nordic Cannon, Trickstar for Trey, Vito Chiramonte.
Chiara Monte.
Caramonte. I'm awful. I apologize. Wagerman, Wolfgang, KPZ, and Youngblood B. Or an 8. Can't tell. I think that's an 8.
8. It's an 8.
So
Young
I,
Blood
I
8.
just I just I
New
just was like,
member.
yes, new member. So thank you guys for supporting the show. And hopefully we'll get back to a regular schedule with Jez once he gets back from vacation and everything. It was just kind of all hectic because Jez was like, I want to go to LA, mate, and screwed everything up. And then the weather had to screw everything up. But here we are. And
It's always a bit disrupted around E3, isn't it?
no, well, I mean, when you don't go, it's perfectly fine.
True, but I gotta try and meet sources and get infos and things like that, right?
Sure,
The
sure.
problem is the info's only great for like a week now before Xbox changes its plans again. Unfortunately. Oh man.
Yep. Oh, by the way, I quit marathon. It's over, bro. It's over.
Over. It's over. Oh
Finito.
man.
Like, we did everything we could do in Marathon Season 1, beat the compiler. It was great. I have like 400 hours in the game. But they fucked up Season 2 so bad, bro. They fucked it up. And, like, there's reports that Bungie's about to lay off half of its staff, which is quite concerning.
Mm.
Say I think they sunset didn't they sunset Destiny 2? And there was a big brouhaha about that, about why there's not a
Yeah,
Destiny
the
3, why are you
last
sunsetting
update
Destiny
coming.
2? And marathon numbers aren't really that great. And
When was the season 2 update?
Season 2 came out like June 5th.
So I'm looking at the Steam charts now. So the update came June 5th. It got a Okay, it didn't get a bump. So the update
No, it
came out
did.
June 5th.
It did.
Not according to this, bro.
It did.
The update came out on June 5th. Players 33,900.
Well, yeah.
And
What
then
was the players the day before?
okay. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So the just before the update, yeah, it got a pretty big bump. It went from 10,000 players to
Well, then they
40,000.
started a free weekend that week.
Ah, okay. So the
But
free
the
weekend.
game was like fucking not working properly the first day. Dude,
Okay.
they screwed this up so badly. I can't fathom how you possibly screwed this shit up. Like, they added this new mode. It was like sponsored on this new map, Dire Marsh Nighttime. And you could go
Mhm.
into this new mode with free kits, sponsored free kits. So you're not risking anything. And
Right.
there's nobody else on the map. There's supposed to be rooks, which are just like someone that goes in and scavenges, but for whatever reason, it wasn't working properly. So basically, you went in with your team, and outside of like the regular AI, you didn't have any other teams. And there's kind of this new boss, this new area you could get into. It's a little difficult to take it down on sponsored free kit, but people were able to do it, and the rewards for doing it were pretty damn awesome. So hey,
Mm.
like no risk, like there's literally no risk. So people started doing this constantly, like all the streamers and all the no lifers and all like the marathon uh, lovers, right? They just started running this mode all the time, getting all this shit. But then one of the other changes for the season was that um they put like your upgrades, how you upgrade your character, on this thing called a cradle, where like you had to take things from your inventory and dismantle them, smash them, and then you get XP, and you could put points into strength or dexterity or agility. So like the higher your strength, your melees kill people faster. Or the higher your agility, the longer you can run, the higher you can jump. Like actual gameplay benefits. So because people were doing this sponsor thing and getting all this great loot, the better the loot, uh, is, the more XP you would get to the cradle. So people basically like maxed out their cradle with all these maxed out gameplay benefits. And then Bungie came out the week after and nerfed it. They completely nerfed it. So like the rewards were no longer good. So it wasn't even really worth doing. And then they increased the cradle XP, so now it takes longer to level up your character, and they kept on doubling down on nerfs. So the only people that were punished by this were the people who aren't the streamers, just the regular people, because like we didn't do any of that because like one of our teammates was away for the week, so we didn't really get to do any of it. So like when Cryo came, the end game stuff, which is what we sort of look forward to. I was like level 50, Magic and Gopher were level 40, and we had like okay gear. And we're thought, okay, we're gonna get matched up with people who aren't on a level, right? You're getting matched up with people that are level 120 with all high end gear that have everything completely maxed out and are just better than us, and we get instantly just destroyed. Like they completely screwed up the economy for this season for everybody. And the only people that got punished are just regular people, because all the people, the streamers and the no lifers, they already maxed that shit out. Like I cannot believe how much they fucked up this season, Jez. Honestly,
I mean, it's live service is hard. It kind of reminds me of like,
think?
yeah, when Diablo 4 first came out, I remember there was this big blowback because they were nerfing things aggressively, and people had created their builds, and then Blizzard was coming in like, oh, this build's too powerful, we're going to nerf it, and then ruin their build. So people were all mad about it. So they stopped doing that. They stopped nerfing anything, and it's like, we're only going to nerf things at the season reset now, and do balance changes and stuff like that. So it took a long time for Blizzard to sort of find its mojo with Diablo, and frankly, it took 2 expansions to find its mojo with Diablo 4. But it doesn't seem like Marathon's going to get that runway. So, like, looking at the Steam charts, you did get a bump when Major Season 2 came out. Free weekend, got a bump, went up to 40,000 players. But a week out from that, we're now back down to 12,000 players, which is where it was before the update, basically.
Yeah.
So all the players that came back for the update have already quit. And
we quit.
that is not where you want to be, man.
Yeah, we're done. So
it's
maybe they figured
it's not
it
where
out.
you want to be.
But I mean, it's also like, well, half their company's about to be laid off, unfortunately.
Says the rumor. We don't know for sure if that's happening.
Right? I mean, I don't know. Paul Tassie's pretty reliable when it comes to that sort of stuff, and he's kind of
it wasn't Paul Tassi who said half.
I know it wasn't Paul Tassi who said it, but I mean, Paul Tassi kind of said there's going to be layoffs, right, or close to it, or whatever. But I mean,
fair enough.
Yeah, like I don't think Bungie survives. I think maybe they're given to like season 4, like the 1 year anniversary marathon, and it's gonna be like, well, we'll see where we are at that point, but good luck.
Oh, it sucks, man.
Yeah, I mean, like we just I think last week I saw some Ubisoft studios close or restructured or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't really see anybody go crazy about that and say Ubisoft should be shut down completely and everybody lose their jobs like they are with Xbox, but because Xbox does something, people get in their feelings. Other companies do something, not so much. Which I guess is our segue to the Xbox stuff, because I'm sure
that's true.
Me and you probably have a lot. I mean, I don't think me and you even talked about the showcase. But does the showcase even matter at this point? At the stage of the game, probably not. It's all about the aftermath.
Yeah, we're in the aftermath now, but let's clear the super chats out before we start getting into the weeds in that one.
Okay, let me go. We got Scarcely Relevant member for 75 months. He says the boys are back. We are back, and he also says and a tenor towards paying for Rand for the $1 million of medical debt. Unfortunately, I don't have any medical debt, but thank you. I was pretty sick though. Juan says Jez is going on vacation. That's it. Xbox is shutting down. Yeah, I mean that's what happens when Jez goes away. Teddy says Jez on vacay. More Xbox news. Indiana Bears Rand. Yeah, sounds like the Bears might be heading to Indiana, but we'll see. Rave Damos says Jez vacation fund. Jez, will you stop being so selfish and go on vacation so we can get some Xbox news to dry up in this joint? Well, we don't have to wait very long. BT Maverick says, awesome meeting you, Jez, at SGF. Appreciate how you represent the Xbox fan base. Welcome back, Rand. Glad you didn't click your heels 3 times. I'm here. Mr. Supernova says, Spencer missed the mark after Hellblade 2 reveal in 2019. He failed to see the potential as Xbox's God of War, the hype is real. Creative my ass. Well, I mean, there is the sense of, like, look, I know there's going to be a lot of, like, hindsight goggles on for people and looking back at what Phil did and what he didn't do right, or what worked and what didn't work, right? Because that's what hindsight's 2020. Now we know, like, hey, what worked, what didn't work. But I think one of the things that Phil, I mean, I know this because I talked to Phil about it years previously, but he was very much of like the idea of letting creative teams create. Like he was very protective of that, of like the teams making like quote unquote art. And
Yeah.
I think he just let Ninja Theory make what they wanted to make. And I get the idea from like the fans being like, this could have been Xbox's God of War, because it's for a lot of people and a lot of areas, people in the media or the people in the fandom or whatever, it's always everything's viewed through the console war lens, right? We're just, it's like PlayStation has this franchise and Xbox doesn't really have this, like PlayStation's got God of War and Xbox really doesn't have an answer to that action action adventure game, right? It really didn't. So like when they bought Ninja Theory, people immediately thought that could be Xbox's answer to Sony Santa Monica's God of War, right? Because like they did Devil May Cry reboot, they did Enslaved, which was amazing, they did Hellblade 1, which was very unique for its time. So like people sort of, I don't know, sometimes we like get within ourselves and we project, oh man, help, like Ninja Theory with money, could be this, could be that. And we just sort of think like, oh, like imagine Hellblade could be Xbox's answer to God of War. And then when like it comes out and it's not, and it doesn't do well, you start to wonder like, well, maybe it should have been, right? But like I think Phil was very much operating under the thing of like, hey, I'm going to let my studios create what they want. And at the time, it was sort of, and we've seen it in interviews, Jez, Game Pass was supposed to fund those games. That was the whole thing. It's like, don't worry about creating the next 20 million, unit seller. Like, Game Pass will take care of it, right? How often did we hear that? How often did we hear that those games exist because Game Pass exists, and Game Pass, the fund, the rolling revenue is like the reason why Double Fine can create a game about a lighthouse that's 5 hours long, or a game with pottery, online brawler. Like, it's because of Game Pass that those things existed. But then, like, as Game Pass sort of like got to 30 million and kind of petered out and didn't go anything past that, it was like, well, okay, where do we go from here? And then like you buy ABK, and then Amy Hood and Satya want return on your investment immediately, and it's like, what do we do? And here's some things. And now these studios that like you originally purchased for a song and a dance in 2018 and 2019, who were never really purchased with the intent of like creating the next big massive hit, who were just purchased because you needed variety and diversity and potential like award winners in your portfolio.
You need a fire hose. A fire hose
Yeah, you
of
needed content for Game Pass, right?
the game's designed for retention, like a fire hose, not
Yeah.
necessarily with the view of selling them at retail, which
Well, yeah,
I
but then
think
it's like,
was the studio's undoing. Like they
well,
were,
then like the
like Schreier said,
new regime comes in, and the bill finally comes due. It's like, yeah,
yeah,
that's whatever agreement you had with Phil back then about like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. Well, he's not here anymore, and unfortunately, like we need to restructure the business. And guess what? There's no need for a pottery brawler anymore, or a walking lighthouse. Like we need like big hits now. And so it's like,
yeah.
and I don't know how many times I said this during the show, constantly over the years, that the Xbox of 2025, the Xbox of 2026 is not the same as the Xbox in 2018. And I always questioned where some of those studios find themselves within Xbox's studios, like where do they find themselves within that studio structure at this point in time, when you have all these other games and franchises and mega IP. It's like, where do you fit, or where do you find the budget for a studio like Double Fine when people are clamoring for a Fallout 5, or they're clamoring for an Elder Scrolls, and they're clamoring for the next Doom and the next Halo. And I know it's easy to say, it's Microsoft, figure it out, you're a $1 trillion company. And it's like, yeah, they should figure it out, and like they should eat all this stuff, and they should pay for all these things. In a perfect world, it would be what it is. You could have all the big AAA mega games that you'd want, but then you'd also have the smaller creative games that just exist because people are passionate about making games and making something new. But like that's not the world we live in, and it's like the junction between creativity and business kind of smashed here, and the business part kind of won out. So now we're in this situation, and it's not fun to be in because some of these studios were, pretty cool. I mean, as you know, I'm a big fan of Ninja Theory. I've been a big proponent of them, and yeah, I mean, I guess we'll I don't even know where you can. I mean, this was off like a super chat, like, and I get that too. Like
Right,
people wanted
it's the
to.
topic. It's a
It's a
topic.
topic, and it's like, I guess maybe that's where we could start, because that also does tie into the showcase, which I thought started off strong, with Gears and Fable and what was the third game? Halo. Was that they revealed Senua, which is, I thought, a surprise for a lot of people. Like, I was not expecting Ninja Theory to be back with something so soon. They had just shipped Hellblade 2 in 2024, so I figured maybe another year. And here they are with Senua, which not even using the Hellblade moniker, which is kind of, maybe sort of do like why are they dropping Hellblade? Like, is this? It's not. Doesn't seem like it's a soft reboot, but either way, I liked what I saw. Then you see like the interviews afterwards and stuff, and they're talking about it being more of a open game, more of a action adventure game, which is kind of what Mr. Supernova was talking about. Less of a, as Jez would say, a walking sim. Even though I still think you had puzzles and all those things, but like they even said it's a bigger game. So I was like, okay, that's cool. Like maybe, so they took the feedback of what people said about Hellblade 2, and was like, okay, I guess people didn't like us going all the way the one direction, right? They didn't like us doing that. So we'll pull back and become more of a gamey game. And then I swear Xbox is like cursed with this shit. They have this like great showcase. A lot of people really liked. A lot of strong games coming from it. A lot of great additions to Game Pass. And I don't know, it seemed like within 48 hours, it all just vanished up in smoke. Like before you could really digest it all and think about, oh man, look at all the cool stuff coming. It was, oh, by the way, Xbox is shutting down everybody. And you're like, excuse me? Wait, what? I mean, and the thing is, I'm not even surprised because they told us they were. They like literally had put it out there about the. I think you can even look at the tough. You can even look at the previous podcast we did on this channel, which I think was the end of May, because we haven't done 2 because of circumstances. But it was like, I think the title was Xbox Tough Choices Ahead. Like they've literally gone out and like, so with July looming and the fiscal year coming, the end of the fiscal year, the beginning of the next, in my head was like, I'm expecting them to close studios. Like I 100% expected studios to close, because it's like you don't get a new leadership in here and doing all these things and bringing back exclusives, which is, how long we debated about that leading up to the showcase, and by damn it, they actually delivered on that promise. Although, are they going to keep to that promise? I couldn't tell you, because the plan's the plan until it's not the plan, right, Asha? So like Matthew Bell can reply to your comment on Twitter, because suddenly the guy who was completely wrong about everything says, actually, they're trying to figure out a way to weasel out of the exclusivity stuff again. It's like, dude, you've been wrong so much recently, and that just creates this whole narrative. And Xbox, for whatever reason, Xbox loves to talk when nobody's listening. They just love these PR wins where it's like, let's have a Twitter poll and let the users decide about, like, we're going to uppercase Xbox now. Maybe I should put out a Twitter poll and be like, which studio should I keep open? And the winner of the poll is the one that stays open. Maybe they can get a good PR win out of that, right? And that's a joke, by the way. Bro. That's a joke. Don't take that seriously. But I'm just saying, when you live by that sort of PR wins, you're going to die by it too, okay? Because it does seem like, I don't know, like, in retrospect, the whole showcase stuff kind of felt key jingling. Like it was like distraction. Like look over here. Like we had exclusives and disregard us shutting down potentially studios and doing all these things that we need to do. And it's just and it's I don't know. So like I wasn't surprised because I felt like it was coming. They sort of signaled it was. The only really surprise I have was that they showed Ninja Theory's game in a bid to sell them to somebody else, which kind of feels. I'm thinking of a word here, Jez. I'm thinking of a word here. It
Oh,
feels grimy
what's the word?
in a
Grimy.
way. Like, not in the way of like, I think it's good that Xbox at least tries to
Like
let their
EA
developers.
wouldn't do this.
No,
EA
yeah, like
would
they'd
just
be like,
shut
"Oh,
them
you're shut
down.
down, whatever. Like you're dead." They're right. Like Xbox tries to be like, "All right, Toys for Bob, you can go independent. We're gonna find somebody for Tango GameWorks with Hi-Fi Rush selling the Crafton and all that." Like they try their best to at least let the studios live on in some way. That a lot of other publishers, you're right, like they'll shut them down,
Ninja
whatever, right?
Ninja Theory has a lot of history. You know, it's been a studio for a really long time, and I think like you know if we're talking like in a mercenary context about it, it's 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 always going to be a PR blowback. I think when you shut down a studio, or even if you spin them off, but like at least for the people employed there, they are sort of Xbox is like taking those bullets to some degree to try and keep them employed, which is at least in some way something laudable. But I think what would be even more laudable, and also genuinely, I think better business would be to not keep your studios under this constant assumption of
mm,
being laid off. Because and this kind of like it kind of goes back to it's something I think Phil said. Or maybe Phil didn't say this. I can't remember who said this, but some prominent industry figure said, I think maybe it was Sean Layden actually. I think it was Sean Layden. He said something along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing heavily here, and I think it was Sean Layden, but he said that Microsoft doesn't know how to function as an entertainment company, right? And I think we constantly see that play out in the way that Microsoft structures its business. The reason why we've started to expect negativity after the showcase is because Michael, why do I keep calling him Michael? Microsoft?
Is Michael on your mind? Did you watch
Michael?
the latest like Michael Jackson movie or something? Is that why you got Michael?
I don't know. Why have I got why am I keep thinking about Michael? Well, Microsoft, whatever. So Microsoft, like their fiscal year ends after the
June
showcase.
30th, yeah, June 31st or
Yeah,
whatever.
so and they always want to cut things at the end of their fiscal year. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like this is going to be like this annoying cycle, right?
Well, yeah. So like,
Um,
so you have this stuff. Last year it was layoffs, but then they also shut down a bunch of projects, right? They shut down
the
Perfect Dark.
Perfect Dark,
They shut
the
down
initiative.
Everwild. They closed the initiative. They canceled the Elder Scrolls Online Project Blackbird, right?
Yeah,
Year before that, I
and
think they had sweeping layoffs. You know, but that's the other thing. Like, remember, I always say Xbox should really sometimes just shut the fuck up. You know,
mm,
like follow the playbook of PlayStation and Nintendo, and just speak only when you have something to say. But Xbox has always kind of been like they need to blab. They need to go on different people's and different websites, and maybe I get that from like, okay, you have a new leader, so like you need to at least install confidence that she's gonna do what's right for the brand. And like I understand that, so it's like you want to be more out there because people don't know who Asha is, and you need to give them a chance of
I tell you what it is. I tell you what it is with this shit. It's because Microsoft again is not an entertainment company. They're a tech company.
sure.
And tech, if you look at like other tech companies, they are constantly talking. Like you can't move 5 seconds without like the dude from Nvidia or Musk or any of these dudes. They're
Sure.
constantly speaking to the media because the hype drives their stock. And I think you know we've seen that in the SpaceX. We've seen that in the SpaceX thing popping off, right? It's all hype. It's all hype and no substance. And I think that's just it's a habitual reaction the way that tech companies behave. And I think Microsoft operates in that universe inappropriately sometimes, but I think that's where it comes from. My issue with it all, right, is the way they operate fiscally. Because I think we've talked about this on the show, that for a gaming company to really, and I think PlayStation is starting to make some of these mistakes too, as a publicly traded company. You've got to have a compounding culture, and like nostalgia over time. A mathematician, Rand, a mathematician, you've got a maths degree, right? A really pro mathematician could probably work out some kind of formula, an equation, where it's like nostalgia multiplied by culture over years equals profits or something like that. There's probably a mathematical formula or an algorithm where you can measure the success of an entertainment company based on how it curates its fandom. Nintendo is building theme parks right now because PlayStation and Xbox haven't really curated most of their franchises appropriately. They can't build theme parks, right? With the exception, of course, of Minecraft, which Microsoft Minecraft is probably the only reason, the only real success story of some of Microsoft's big acquisitions. Thinking about it off the top of my head, at least. But this is kind of like the end game. The end game you want to be at with culture and IP is the ability to build theme parks, have movies, have merchandise. That should be the goal. And Matt Booty spoke to this in my interview with them, which I see a lot of content creators citing recently, even though some of them were like, "Oh, this interview sucks." And now they're all like, "Oh, actually, I'm going to go back and talk about this interview because Jez actually asked some pretty important questions." Um, Matt Booty said something to the effect of like, everything big starts small. And the whole point of, growing a franchise is with the hope of making it big someday. But Amy Hood and Microsoft's fiscal policy, they won't allow or nurture any of these studios to be, or franchises to become bigger. Like my whole issue with the Senua thing, we were talking about Hellblade potentially being Xbox's answer to God of War. We could all see that. All of us could see that, and all of us wanted that, fair or not. And I'm not saying like artists should be forced to make games they don't want to make, but eventually you have to sell a product if you want to get paid. And some of those, chickens are coming on to roost right now, I think. But whoever's wherever the book stops that decided Hellblade 2 was going to be a walking simulator and not an action adventure game, they're responsible for what's happening now, you know. And they should be the ones punished, potentially, rather than Ninja Theory. Whoever made that decision should be punished
Well,
because,
wouldn't it have been if somebody within Ninja Theory made that decision? Potentially, like
well,
the creative director or the game director of Hellblade.
sure. A lot of those creative directors aren't even there though. Like they sold Ninja Theory, took the money, and left.
Sure, which
And
is their right.
but
It's their company.
which is their right. My argument would have been Microsoft or Matt Booty or Phil or someone in management should have been like, Hellblade 2, this is a great pitch, but what if it was in a genre that would actually fucking sell?
Mm.
Someone in the management layer should have been responsible for making that call, in my opinion, right? And hindsight's 2020. Of course it is, and it's easy for me to sit here and say all this stuff. Being a podcaster from like my bedroom. I've never made a successful product, so it's easy for me to say I know this, but I feel it in my bones, Rand. I feel it from deep in my bone marrow. I feel it all the way down to my balls, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I feel it all the way down to
Feel
my
it down your
core.
plums.
Yeah, my plums, bro. I feel it like. I really just feel like if Hellblade 2 is action adventure, we wouldn't be necessarily here talking about the fact the studio might be shut down. Which is
See,
why Senua is now action adventure.
sure.
You know?
I think they course corrected. Absolutely. They learned what
They should
people
have
wanted, and I mean maybe you're right.
they
Maybe
should
it's
have
like
known. We saw this coming. Everyone saw this coming. Didn't you see this coming? Like these kind of walking simulators, they don't have legs. Pun
bro.
intended.
What about mixtape,
No,
bro? What are you talking about?
Oh, fuck off for your mixtape. Someone in chat says you need to turn yourself up a little bit.
I need to turn myself up a little bit. Hold
Yeah,
on.
I'm too loud, apparently.
Uh,
But I don't know. Apparently, we've missed some super chats.
I mean,
Highlanders Grim says we missed one.
hold on. Sound record. Okay, change. So put myself up some. All right. I mean, unless Discord is automatically changing it, but I don't see that it is. I'll lower you a little bit.
I could lie myself, maybe.
No, I mean,
audio,
I got you lowered,
I
but
hate audio.
I don't know.
I should learn how to do audio because I don't have a clue how it works.
Anyways,
Like Didac Bruh says, like, how was Minecraft Legends even a thing? Like, yeah, wrong. You know, like some of the projects that were greenlit under Phil and Matt have been absolutely questionable at best. You know, and the things that, like, you know, Jason Schreier recently put out a video and he was explaining like what went wrong, and I was like, you know, first of all, I wouldn't ever bet against Jason Schreier for one thing, but I also would like to get my own sources, you know, on this stuff. And from what I heard, everything he said basically was accurate. That Microsoft was not necessarily encouraging developers to curate games that would sell at retail. They were focusing on games that might get a rapid cadence of, you know, uh, Game Pass retention kind of games. Game Pass games that might handle well on cloud, you know, like a Hellblade walking simulator potentially handles better on cloud than like a full-blown action adventure title, at least with the technology they previously had. So I don't know if like some of those I don't know if some of those decisions, some of that bias towards cloud or Game Pass inform their decision making on, instead of like, you know, adding an extra year of dev time to Hellblade 2 or 2 years, whatever it needed to become a full blown game, and not just like, you know, a very pretty award winning tech demo, frankly. Whoever was making those decisions is at fault here for me, you know, and
well,
it
let
was
me
the
ask you
wrong bet.
this:
They made the wrong bet,
Let me
bro.
ask, how do you feel about it being used as a ploy to try to get somebody to like? The fact that a game was used in the showcase that Microsoft knew, or the people within the company knew, that they have no intentions of publishing. In fact, there is a chance that they were going to shut them down. So they put it in the show for a potential buyer to get to. Like, it feels deceptive to, like, I don't know how people at Ninja Theory would feel. Maybe they feel grateful that their game got showcased and a potential buyer could see it and being like, and then see the reaction to it and being like, okay, well, this might be worth buying it. But as like a fan, where you look through to the showcase and stuff, and I think there's a difference between, because Xbox has this problem of announcing projects too early, right? We've seen this in recent, I mean, the last two generations, right? From Scalebound getting canceled to Phantom Dust getting reworked to hell. I mean, State of Decay 3 still not out yet, and that was revealed in 2020. And Perfect Dark was revealed in 2020. Like, but at least I knew then that, like, okay, these are the projects they're working on. It may take time, but they're gonna come. And then like things happen or whatever, and they canceled it. So it's like something went wrong. I never once thought like the game was being used for some other purpose than like, hey, this is what we're working on, and we hope we can get it to you in a good time frame. Whereas like with this game, within like 2 days or whatever it was immediately being like, oh yeah, Xbox knew they were shutting these people down when they put it in. And I just was like, excuse me? Like I don't know, like I sort of feel like they tried pulling a fast one. And now you sort of have to wonder, like any other time Xbox shows anything, because if we're going to go through this rigmarole every single year, which we've had the last couple years, because, you know, things aren't going the way they want, and they have to make cuts again. So, like, next year at this time are we also going to watch the showcase and then wonder 5 days later, well, I wonder what studio is going to get closed, and then like, oh, I wonder what new game Xbox showed at the showcase was really for investors so they could sell it and not actually like a product that they were actually going to release. You know what I mean? It feels weird. I don't know how to describe it because it's I, I'm not a fan. Like I don't know. I don't know if like it would help me understand. It helped me like if I knew people at Ninja Theory were like, actually, we're grateful for Microsoft doing this, and I'd be, oh, okay, whatever. Like as long as like they're happy with it because it's their jobs on the line, whatever. But like I don't even know if they are. Like did they even know that like this was going to be a possibility? Were they just operating under the basis of like this is the game we're working on and we can't wait to release it in 2027? I mean, there was interviews, the Xbox Wire post. Was all this done under the guise of like the people doing this knew that this was basically for an investor or for the possible sale, or was it like done under the guise of like, hey, we're actually going to release this game on Xbox? It just feels weird and wrong, for lack of a better term. I don't know. I don't know how you feel about it, but it's it's
I mean,
strange.
I can see like I believe it's well intentioned, right? And I'll say this: I believe Senua will launch.
Sure, okay. I mean, yeah, if they find a buyer, which maybe there's a great possibility that they do, then yeah, it'd probably come out. But
I think
I just,
I want to believe like, and first of all, it is like some people are questioning whether some of this stuff's even true. I'll tell you what I know now. It is true that Microsoft's looking to sell, consolidate, or release studios back to being indie or shut them
yes,
down. That is
it
100%
hasn't
true.
happened yet
It's a
because it's not going to
it
happen
hasn't happened
until
yet.
the new fiscal year starts. But that is 100%
No,
true. Nobody's been
it's
shut down yet,
100%
but
no.
the discussions are ongoing essentially.
It's 100% true that layoffs are probably going to happen across the whole company,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's 100% true that Ninja Theory is one of the studios that they're trying to find a buyer for. And I think Ninja Theory is potentially one of the studios that they will find a buyer for. So, like, I think Senua will either launch under a new publisher or Microsoft. And I want to believe this. I want to believe Microsoft isn't this brazen. But if Microsoft can't find a publisher for it, I want to believe that Microsoft's just going to be like, well, we've got to launch this because we announced it. And Ash's whole thing for months was just like, I want to rebuild trust. I want to rebuild trust.
Yeah.
Would she be so brazen
Yes.
to put a trailer in a showcase knowing full well it was gonna come back to haunt her if it never comes out? Would that it just defies logic for me. And maybe I'll eat some crow in a few weeks when the game is cancelled, but I want to believe that Senua's gonna come out, right? First and foremost. But one of the big topics that a lot of people are wondering right now, and you know, is like, what's to what extent are we going to see cuts? You know, so people are throwing around terms like bloodbath and massacre
Good
and all that
terms.
kind of
Good
thing,
terms.
I mean, they're good terms like for a YouTube headline, but if you're an employee of Microsoft right now, it's
Well,
probably not a
not
fun
good for
thing to
them.
read, right?
You know.
No, but I think like what you will see, right? And this is like from spending a week talking to people in the know. Like Schreier put out there that nothing's been decided yet. That's true. Um, nothing's been decided yet, but they are definitely going to make these decisions, right? And I think you've got to. We talked about this in the last podcast before the showcase with regards to Ash's tough decisions. And there was already rumors about studios like Compulsion and Double Fine who haven't had a hit even before they were acquired, you know. And well, obviously Double Fine has a legacy of hits, but like I just mean like in recent history, right? Um and I
Well, I
know
mean, Psychonauts is
Psychonauts 2 did
too. You know.
well, but it was like they kickstarted it and then Microsoft sort of came in and took it over the finish line. Like if you watch the documentary they made about if you watch the documentary about um getting Psychonauts 2 out the door, it was tough, you know. And since then we've had Keeper and Killed, and like I said, I had heard they were working on a more ambitious project. But it's also like um it's it's one of them, isn't it? It's kind of like the previous leadership should have been more intent on making sure they reach towards self-sustainability, knowing the kind of person who's the CFO. Because I've heard, once again, Amy Hood is running all of this shit. She's running the show. She's dictating the cuts that have got to be made. And I've been told she's cold as hell with regards to some of this stuff. She doesn't think about the human impact. She just sees numbers in a spreadsheet. And to be fair, that is her job. But at the same time, it's like we talked about earlier, gaming is a cultural opt-in thing. It's a very visible business. You know, it's like WWE almost, you know. People have seen behind the curtain now, and people who are very invested in it, like not just emotionally, but like with physical money, they are actively watching and discussing what these companies are doing. And the way Amy Hood is operating not just Xbox, but frankly, Windows and Surface is anti-culture. It's anti-culture, and it is doing irreversible damage to the brand, but also the employees who work there, who have to operate under conditions, extreme conditions of constant fear and anxiety for being laid off. I don't know how you produce art or produce your best work living under that shadow, right? I don't know how you do it. And I think like when you're a CFO and all you do is spreadsheets all day, you can't put yourself in the mindset of people trying to create cultural, artistic products, right? But at the same time, I understand that to get paid, you have to sell something, you know, whether it's your time, whether it's a product, and so on and so forth. And it is true that Microsoft has invested a lot of money in Xbox and expected, you know, certain amounts of return. So it is on the previous leadership that they put all their eggs in one basket potentially, which was the growth of Game Pass.
Yep.
You know, they put all their eggs in that basket. The basket didn't grow fast enough or not enough to offset what they were doing on the other side with regards to content quality. They focused too much on cadence rather than quality. And I think that is ultimately what's led us to this place.
I mean, Jez, they were
But
expecting like 60 million Game Pass subscribers by this point, and like 100 million by 2030 or whatever it was. And I remember seeing those documents and being like, they're never going to get there. Like, oh, I don't know what they're thinking, but it's Microsoft being like, we're going to do this shit. Like, so what's happening right here is basically like, it's basically the failure of Phil Spencer's Xbox come home to roost. You know, giving developers the freedom to make what they want. You know, you talked about the idea that like somebody there should told them something, but that was also one of the marks against Xbox before Phil got there, was that they were too involved with the developers. They didn't let people be creative, right? And so they went the other way, and it was kind of just being like, make what you want, blah 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 blah. Game Pass is the reason why you don't need to really sell stuff. And the studios that, you know, Phil bought in 2018, you know, the Playgrounds and the Compulsions and the Ninja Theories and In Exiles and the Double Fines. I mean, look at the ones that they're shutting down. It's basically all the ones that they purchased back then. You know, it makes you wonder, you know, with that of like, what studios we need to cut costs and the ones that don't have the franchises. It makes you wonder, like, is Phil's other project that he bet heavily on that didn't work out, like Game Pass, is that going to see some significant changes down the road? I mean, it's not this year because they've already talked about that. And I know, like, the constant revenue argument, all that sort of stuff. But I'm just saying, like, are we so slowly going to see, and I mean slowly, going to see the unwinding of Phil Spencer's vision of Xbox? And, you know, like, because I don't know if you can really...
It might be like
untangle that immediately, but it's something that you could probably wind down over the course of years or whatever. I mean, because like Phil's last sort of stuff was going from exclusivity to multi-platform and being like, we want to be everywhere to make as much money as possible. And like one of Asha's first things was, well, not one of her first things, but one of the big things was at the showcase saying, hey, exclusives are back. Gears EDAY is exclusive, and so's Clockwork Revolution. And Matthew Ball said they're gonna have signature exclusives every single year. You know, and I've seen pundits on social media and Twitter and YouTube talk about like how confusing Xbox's strategy is and stuff, and like why aren't the games everywhere and all whatever. And it's like, I don't think it's too confusing. I think it's one of those things where um I don't know. I don't think
It's
it's
fiscal.
well.
It's
It's
fiscal
not.
factors.
I
You
don't
know.
think it's fiscal factors. It's look, especially with people in the media when it comes to Xbox. There are people within the media that just want Xbox to die. 100%. I
Oh
see
yeah.
it all the time.
Oh yeah.
They just want it to disappear, or they just want it to as where Xbox's games are all just on their platform of choice, right? I mean, hell, I would love if all PlayStation games are on Xbox. Like, I would love to get achievements for them and playing with the controller I want or whatever. Like, but there are definitely people with the industry that hate covering Xbox, that hate talking about it. That
Unless it's negative.
anytime Xbox like does something wrong, they are quick to jump in and give their opinion about it and pontificate and say, I've seen a bunch of outlets this week being like Xbox should be sold off and Microsoft should shut Xbox down and Xbox should get out of hardware and all these things being like, so you're upset they're shutting down, like they're getting rid of developers, which is an awful thing, like, because I don't really think they should. But your solution is being like, actually, let's shut down the whole company so everybody loses their jobs, or let's get out of hardware so we're gonna fuck over all the millions and millions of fans who spent their money building a library, but then also like the people at Xbox whose job it is to keep that. So we're gonna like have all those people lose their jobs too, or whatever. I don't know. Like, there is a certain segment of the media that clearly wants them to be gone in any way. And especially, you can always tell the differences between when Xbox has layoffs and studio closures and when PlayStation has layoffs or studio closures. You can definitely see it in the tone of the articles and the way one is presented versus the other, right? And I'm not saying Xbox should get off lightly for this, because like, I mean, if you're talking about shutting down 3 studios, and then like you see reports that Bethesda could be affected. Like, is Arcane gonna survive? Like we could potentially see the shutdown of 5 studios, which is a catastrophe. If you would use as a descriptor for like, just, oh, by the way, 5 studios are closed. Like, that's fucking Armageddon. You know what I mean? Like, you don't see that every single day, and it's like, well, how the fuck we get here? And then you got Matt Booty, Mr. Booty himself. This is the other thing I wanted to kind of, we got off, not off tangent, but like I didn't get my point off, was the idea of Xbox talking a lot, and I always said like they should talk as little as possible, because like Matt Booty, when Asha took over, what's the first thing he said? Oh, we're as a publisher, we're equipped to publish Call of Duty and the Fallouts, plus also the Kilns and the South of Midnights. And then not less than fucking like 3 months later, they're shutting them down. Like, Matt, like, you're in charge of this shit, bro. Like, God, I don't get it. I don't understand. Like, sometimes you just need to shut the fuck up and let things play out, and not say things where you're putting your foot in your mouth a couple months later, because clearly you don't care about the Kilns and you don't care about the Senuas or whatever. You've made it perfectly clear that the only things you really do care about are the big IPs. Like, we need more Fallouts and more Elder Scrolls. Like, yeah, you fucking think you should have more Fallouts at this point? Like, that's a travesty in and of itself. And for another discussion, the fact that this Fallout TV show just finished its 2nd season, it's starting the production of its 3rd season, probably going to air sometime next year, and nobody can point to when the next Fallout new content is actually coming from anybody. Talk about a complete disaster of missing the window there. But because you saw the report of like, oh, they want more Halos and more Elder Scrolls and more Fallouts. It's like, yeah, like, like, it kind of goes to your point of like, people should be making these decisions, but what are you doing here? So I don't want to hear this bullshit from them about like, we do Call of Duty, but we also do these indie games, and then the first things that get off the thing that you're cutting because you need to are the indie games that you just hyped up or whatever. Like, come on, it's such disingenuous bullshit. And I
Well,
whatever.
the thing is,
I
like,
can't, like,
I th-
seriously, like, my eyes glaze over anytime Matt Booty talks about anything.
no,
So
but bro, I think that's what Matt Booty believes.
yeah, are we
But then,
sure? Are we sure?
no, I do. I
I
do.
don't.
I've met the guy. I've
It's
met the
great,
guy multiple
great,
times.
awesome.
I've spoken to him at length. I think that's genuinely what I believes. I genuinely think that's what he believes, and that's what he wants to do. Because evidently, Rand, those are the games that he greenlit.
Well,
So evidently, he wants to do that. The problem is, and I think this is where Matt Booty fails, is where he doesn't realize, or he hasn't accepted yet, that he can't convince Amy Hood to just perpetually greenlight that level of freedom. If those studios wanted to make a Keeper or a Kiln or whatever, like, I would never have greenlit those games personally.
no,
And maybe that's
I
harsh.
wouldn't have either.
Yeah, I don't know, but maybe it's harsh. But can you imagine? Can you imagine,
But
like,
maybe I would have if I was
like
operating
someone
under the previous administration's things, where it's like, just make what you want, don't worry about it. Game Pass is gonna save everything. Maybe I would have been like, okay, well, sure, whatever.
I'm someone who's paranoid, right? I'm paranoid about what happens tomorrow. And if it was me, I would be like, I want these studios to make bangers to self-sustain themselves because I don't trust fucking Amy Hood to just let this just fly forever, personally. So I wouldn't have greenlit Kill and I wouldn't have greenlit Keeper, you know, and I know like different parts of the company don't necessarily work on all the same things at the same time. So like you could say like Keeper maybe that was led entirely by the art team, which is why it doesn't really have any gameplay and that kind of thing. And while the other team was incubating what's next, fine, whatever. But like at the same time, it's kind of like, are you not sort of like potentially harming Double Fine's brand by releasing games that aren't really on a higher plane of existence, you know? Like Double Fine's sort of become known for these quirky little weird projects which nobody beyond like an award show is going to care about, you
Yeah.
know.
So what you're
And
saying is somebody
it's
should have.
shit that it's shit that we live in that world because I appreciate art and I love that those games exist, but they are not the games that the bean counters care about. They don't care about those games, and they
Sure.
never will, right? Because the mass audience the audience repeatedly tells Microsoft and other publishers who've ventured into this space, they repeatedly tell them, we don't want this kind of game. We want action, we want hack and slash, we want these other genres, you know, which sell more copies. Like you look at like a game like Stellar Blade or Kingdom Come Deliverance or even Chronos: The New Dawn. These games didn't cost hundreds of millions of dollars. They cost tens of millions of dollars to make, you know, and they all went on to sell at least 1 million copies.
Yeah,
I don't,
but
maybe Chronos didn't,
also not
but the
necessarily
Stellar
made
Blade,
here though. So I mean, that's also a big factor.
I mean, that is a big factor, but you have to factor that into your
Sure.
equation.
No.
If you
Yeah.
are a studio in San Francisco, which is very, very fucking expensive, you can't be like, you know, using your money so frivolously. If you have to count every single penny, you can't be wasting money on a game you know at the point of greenlighting is not gonna sell. Keeper was never gonna sell, and Kiln was never gonna sell. And it sucks, but there's just so much to play. There's so much to play, and not enough human beings to have like games that don't address the core audience, right?
Right.
So I appreciate that aspect of the dilemma that they're in, but at the same time, it was management who didn't like
And
encourage
who
them
was that
to
management?
work in genres that would sell.
And who was
Well, it was
management?
Phil,
Who's
Matt, and
managing him?
Sarah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, I don't know Matt Booty, right? Never met him, never talked to him. I'm just saying, my whole point is sometimes you just need to shut the fuck up. Because if you actually didn't say anything, none of this stuff could be used against you, or whatever. Where you could be like, these games, and then actually we're shutting the studios down. So it makes me not believe you. It makes me not trust you because I don't know these people. Not everybody gets a chance to talk to them at length and figure out their inner thoughts. I'm just saying, as somebody on sitting on, you know, the outside the lines or whatever, and just watching from afar, that's the impression I get. Like, oh, I don't believe him. And that's also the problem that Xbox has right now, is once again coming down to the trust. Do you trust Xbox, right? You know, I saw Jeff Grubb make a video about it, and he says you shouldn't trust Xbox. I mean, I
Why should you?
I mean, I love the Grubster. I've always loved the Grubster, and it's like his opinion. And sometimes it's like it's pretty difficult. Look, I don't trust Microsoft. I mean, I've always said that from the. I couldn't care less about Microsoft. I only care about Xbox. Fuck Microsoft. If it was up to me, like I don't care. But like it can. There was a point in time where it definitely seemed like Xbox was kind of doing its own thing, and Microsoft wasn't getting involved in any way, and it was great. And then like once like Microsoft started getting involved, it was just like, oh guys, like Microsoft is so involved now where it's like, ugh. And like I look at it and I understand and I appreciate. Here comes Asha. All right, I need to come in here. I need to fix things. I need to improve things. I need to win back the trust of the fans. We need to do some of these stuff. And like I know she's gonna have a tough job ahead of her with the things she needs to line up, and like it's not her fault that like you know that it's like, hey, these are the cuts I have to make. This is what I'm being told I have to do by Amy Hood or whatever. It's like all these sort of decisions were made previously, like, oh well, you made Keeper and you made South Dominion, didn't make any money, so you're first on the cut list or whatever. But partially what's going on here is like with everything that's happening is it's like, are you severely undermining people's trust in the brand that people just won't care when we get to showcase next year, or when the next game comes out, or when Matthew Ball says actually Gears is never coming to PlayStation, wherever he said, and then people are just like, yeah sure Matt, whatever. We are at Sarabon say the same thing about Starfield, and guess what, Starfield's on PlayStation. Now, granted, Redfall's not. So she was right about Redfall, but there's a good reason why Redfall's never coming to PlayStation, right? So it's like
Uh,
I don't
well, this is one of the things, right? They have it's gonna take a long time for them to rebuild trust, right? And the fact that like these projects take years to make, it potentially takes them years to deliver on some of these promises. It's just unfortunate that we're always in this situation at the end of every fiscal year where Amy Hood and whatever is setting budgets. And right now there is this elephant in the room, this artificial intelligence shaped elephant, which is sort of informing a lot of Microsoft's fiscal decisions right now. Microsoft is being sued by shareholders because shareholders are unhappy about the amount of capital expenditure going in towards infrastructure for artificial intelligence. And they're also saying like Microsoft misreported its Azure growth or something like that. So there's some pressure probably on from the corporate side on about how to manage some of this stuff. And one of the things you have to remember about Amy Hood, she originally comes from Goldman Sachs. Her job was investment banker, right? And when she joined Microsoft, her job in Microsoft was head of shareholder relations. And then she became CFO. So all she's ever been interested in is the shareholders. Are the shareholders happy? Are the shareholders happy? Are the shareholders happy? And the problem with shareholders is they can buy in and buy out quarter over quarter. Shareholders don't necessarily think what is Xbox going to look like in 10 years, which is how long it takes to curate culture, curate nostalgia. Like the most requested Xbox backwards compatible game right now is Skylanders. And the reason it's Skylanders is because an entire generation of kids who are becoming young adults now, they all grew up with Skylanders. I didn't grow up with Skylanders. I didn't even know what the fuck it was. But Skylanders was huge with anyone who's about 20 to 25 years old right now, right? So it's become almost fashionable again, right? But Microsoft can't act on that potential, that nostalgic potential, like a Nintendo would be able to, because Microsoft is so wrapped up in the quarterly, the shareholder bullshit, what's the share price now? What's the share price next quarter? They don't think about what could we do with Skylanders as those kids are now becoming adults. Is there an opportunity here to tap into that nostalgia? With a cohort that is now coming up to purchasing age. They don't think about that kind of shit. Nintendo thinks about that kind of shit because Nintendo's always had a longer term view of things. And I'm not saying Nintendo doesn't have its own headwinds, but these are like the memory crisis and all that shit. All that shit's temporary. Memory will eventually not be so. They'll probably, what will happen is they'll end up being like an oversupply of memory because they're like working to print so much of it now, and then when demand drops for data centers or they think they've got enough or whatever, then we'll end up with a surplus of memory, maybe. I've seen some analysts suggest that, but maybe it's naive. But anyways, Nintendo plans for the long term, and I think that's what you have to do as a fucking entertainment company. You have to plan for the long term. You have to think about what is like, oh, Stranger Things was really big. How can we make Stranger Things season 2 bigger? Netflix has been called out for canceling shit all the time as well,
Yeah.
and relying on the same few bangers over and over again. But Netflix has had so much success with its bangers that it, can be a little bit more picky. But I don't fucking know, man. The whole thing is a cultural issue. It's the short-term issue. Maybe like Xbox can't reach its true potential with Amy Hood as CFO. Maybe Amy Hood's just too fucking ignorant to let Xbox become a cultural tour de force that it so easily could become. Xbox is so much IP. So much IP. They bought everything. They own Doom, they own Wolfenstein, Fallout. They own fucking everything. They own Guitar Hero, they own Tony Hawk, they own all this shit, which is sort of like on the back burner, which could be nurtured, invested in, and could become a thing. But we'll never see it happen because Microsoft is not a company that wants to nurture things. And that's why I defend what Matt Booty said, because it's evident to me that Matt Booty knows this. And he knows that big things start as small things. He knows this. But he's bootstrapped by the limitations placed upon him by, Microsoft's sort of like wishy-washy approach to investment. And Satya can go in these interviews and say, "Oh, we've invested this much money. We've invested so much money." It's like, yeah, but bro, like you have to fucking nurture that investment. You
Didn't
can't
S-
just throw money. You can't throw money at a problem and then expect things to just suddenly happen. It's like nurturing over time.
didn't
You know.
Satya just say something about like that YouTube does a better job monetizing Xbox than they've done monetizing Xbox or some shit?
Yeah,
Like, what does
and
that
I'm
even
like, bro,
mean?
yeah. Well, I got two fucking opinions about that, Satya, mate. A, you should feel privileged that people want to spend so much time on YouTube talking about the worlds they're so invested in and the art and the culture that you purchased. You should feel privileged in that knowledge. Second of all, it's your fucking fault that YouTube monetizes gaming better than Microsoft does. Microsoft had every opportunity over Satya's tenure to build something similar to YouTube. They owned Silverlight, they owned Mixer, for God's sake, they owned all this kind of stuff, which could have become an allegory to YouTube, but they didn't want to compete. They didn't want to compete because it wasn't going to be instant returns, because that's how Microsoft behaves. Microsoft is a company that wants instant returns. They behave like an investment bank because Amy Hood, as we've established, comes from banking. She doesn't come from tech. She doesn't come from culture. She doesn't come from entertainment. She operates Microsoft like it's an investment bank. We buy in today and then we milk it and then we move on. There's no culture. There's no mission. There's no mission statement that they follow you know and that's why why I think like Xbox is distressed. That's why Windows is in the mess that it fucking is right now. And that's why like brands like Phone and Surface, like, which had all this potential and all this hype briefly, um you know because it didn't instantly blow up and they didn't want to nurture it, they just gave up. That's what they do because they think like an investment bank. Pisses me off, dude. But Rand, we really need to get a super chats. There's a lot of them.
Okay, all right, all
There's
right,
a
all
lot of
right,
them, bro.
all right. I'm going to him.
I'm pissed, bro. I'm pissed.
I mean, I know you're a big fan of Satya. High,
It's Amy, man.
high,
I half believe that Sati himself knows all this shit. It's Amy. It's Amy and the shareholders. And Amy's relationship with the shareholders is what I'm currently blaming.
Highlanders Grim, member 4 months, says, just started Alan Wake 2, absolutely 10 out of 10. Love Alan Wake 2. One of my top 5 games of the gen. Mr. Supernova says, that's why Creative Freedom risks closure now. The game was just a tech demo. Fans deserve what they pay for with their hard-earned money. First and 15th says, Hellblade 2 was a glorified tech demo. Sadly, not surprised. Mr. Supernova says, Satya gave Xbox $80 billion to compete. He told the ABK court Spencer handles exclusives. When he asked by the judge, they blame Satya, but it's on Phil. I mean, I believe it's basically on everybody, but I don't know if you want to like single out a single person, but Phil made some bets that worked and some bets that didn't work. Chicago 21 2000 says, the simple fact is games have become a commodity. There are too many games and not enough players. Xbox should close small studios and focus on big franchises. I mean, there are a lot of games and there aren't enough players. I mean, we spent the beginning of this podcast talking about all the games that are coming out in between like end of August and middle of October. And there's going to be some games there that are going to fail because there's just not enough people with enough disposable income to buy it to make them be successful. It's just, it's a causality. It's just, this is the way it is. I don't know. I wish it didn't happen, but I mean, how many games come out every single week on Steam? And sure, you hear about the ones that blow up, like Subnautica or, you know, whatever else blows up on Steam. But like, you don't hear about the other 1,000 failures that happen every single week on Steam, because why would you? Like, they're come and gone like a fart in the wind, you know? It's just, plus not to mention all the free games like Roblox, like all the games you could play in Roblox for free or Fortnite and stuff. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there, man. And there's a lot of competition for your hard-earned time and money. And, you know, someone's going to be left out. And, I mean, what happens if next week GTA raises the price of games? I mean, we don't know what the price of GTA 6 is going to be yet. Pre-orders are going to open, so we're going to know then. What happens if they decide, and they are the only game that could do this, being like, GTA 6 regular edition is $80, and they up it by $10. Or they go, say, GTA 6 is $90, because I think they could still get away with that. Isn't
Ocarina of Time $80, or am I misremembering?
I think maybe physical, there's something to do with the physical stuff is like more expensive with Nintendo, although don't quote me on that, Don Taku. I don't really follow Nintendo stuff, so I'm not really sure. But
I'm gonna check.
If there's a game that can raise the price floor, it's GTA 6. And if they do decide to raise the price, does that force everybody else after them to also then raise the price? I mean, we saw Xbox tries to raise the price to $80 with Outer Worlds 2. They got smacked down real fast. Which, you know, was the wrong game to try it with. So we haven't really seen anybody else come out and try to be like, our game's $80 or whatever, but you know, GTA 6 could, and we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Chris says, it feels like Phil didn't really have a pulse on what gamers wanted. While we were questioning lack of investment in Halo and Gears, he was saying the children yearn for Phantom Dust. I mean, when you talk to developers or even people at Xbox or even people at other companies, like people love Phil. Like, I mean, I talked to plenty of people at Xbox, and they love Phil, and I've talked to developers and stuff, and they love him too, or whatever. But, yeah, I mean, you could argue, of course, that Gears and Halo declined under his watch. I mean, Halo kind of was like a clusterfuck under his, but I mean, that's also, you know, Booty was in charge in 2019 stuff. So it's like, yeah, I mean, like those things happened. I mean, you can't get away from that.
Maybe
right?
Phil was just too nice, man.
That's the other thing. When the reporting came out, it was like Asha wants more Elder Scrolls, Fallout, and Halo, and it's like, more Halo? Like what? Maybe more Halo if it's not made by Halo Studios. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I get like more Elder Scrolls or more Fallout because those are like, Elder Scrolls is probably the next biggest thing after GTA, right? The anticipation for Elder Scrolls 6 is palpable, and by the time they finally get around to revealing it and stuff, people are gonna go crazy for it. Fallout's got the TV show, which is one of the biggest shows in the world. and people have been waiting for a long time for something new Fallout. So it's like, okay, I get that, but I mean, Halo just had like Halo Infinite, which didn't set the world on fire after it came out, and there's been a lot of issues with 343 or Halo Studios. Maybe they, I don't know. And then it even sounds like with Halo Anniversary, with it looks pretty good, but then the reporting is that like Halo Studios isn't really that involved with the game, that it's mostly been outsourced to a different studio and stuff. So I don't know. It's like, do we really need the question is like, do we really need more Halo? I mean, should we be getting more Doom? Should Doom be like Wolfenstein be more of a like a thing because they got a TV show coming and stuff? And I don't know. I saw that and I'm like, more Halos. Like, I mean, I guess, but I mean, can Halo ever retain its glory days? Especially like I mean, you know what I want to see? I want to. And I'm not being serious here, but part of me wants Halo to the next proper Halo to be on PlayStation so we can get Jez to shave his beard, right? Shouldn't that be what we're waiting for here? But then again, you read this report. Like I saw the report from Tom Henderson. Like Gears EDAY costs $400 million, and I was
didn't
just
cost
like,
$400 million,
bro. But even if it does or whatever, I'm just like hypothetically, if Tom Henderson, I believe Tom, right? Just if we're just for the sake of the discussion, whoever like let that game get to $400 million and okay with that, they should be fired. Should be absolutely 100%. Like you don't work here anymore because like even if the game was multi-platform, the game's still gonna lose money. Like the game is not making the game would not make its $400 million back because that's about 8 million to 10 million copies or whatever it would be. It ain't selling that much, regardless if it was on PlayStation or not. And now it's not. So, but it's like, who's like a $400 million? That's like I mean, Call of Duty games are like almost 600 million now, but it's like, you look at that and it's like, that's Spider-Man 2 numbers. That's a Marvel game or what have you. Like Gears, considering how like the needle's been pointing in the wrong direction for Gears for a bit, like how could you justify a $400 million budget for that game? I mean, I hope it's not true, because if it is true, then there's people making the budgets at Xbox that are clearly out of touch with everything. So,
yeah, well,
but I don't know.
It's not true.
But then you see the reporting that South of Midnight cost $100 million, and then Outer Worlds 2 cost $100 million, and it's like,
I have no idea on them ones.
I mean, I don't have any idea, but I'm just saying,
I can believe that.
Hypothetically,
Microsoft has like a corporate grading system for its employees, so they tend to pay a little bit more than like a smaller publisher would.
Sure,
and also like some of these studios are located in expensive locations.
I played South of Midnight quite a bit, and at no point did I think, wow, that's $100 million. I couldn't even. I'm like, okay, maybe it's a good 40-50 mil. $100 million for South of Midnight? It's like, yeah, no wonder Compulsion is like on the chopping block if that's the case. Where'd the money go? You know?
Indeed.
I don't know. Outer Worlds 2, you could say it was with Obsidian, but there's a lot of content in Outer Worlds 2, even if the game didn't like maybe do what it should have done. But still. Let's see. We have Quarantine Fox says, do you think Asha will try to replicate the COD Factory, their release cadence to finances with other IP, Halo, Gears, Fallout, Elder Scrolls, etc.? I mean, they've mentioned how they base like what they want to do. They want to focus on big IP. They want to focus on moneymakers. Right? We're probably going to see multitudes of Fallouts. You're going to have a Fallout 5. You're probably going to have a Fallout New Vegas 2. Fallout remasters. They're going to inundate you with Fallout. I mean, I don't know about Elder Scrolls. But, I mean, we always talked about for years how there should have been more Halo spinoffs. Like, it was just... It's just printing money. Like, why wasn't there like a Halo Helldivers game? Like people talk about how Helldivers 2 is basically like ODST. Why was that game never? Where was that game? Just there's so much money to be made with some of these franchises. See, we have Nightwolf, who says Xbox had the perfect setup with all the studios acquired in 2018 that I figured they would have games released one year while another was cooking. Yeah, but things take a long time to make these days. UNSC says, what's up with Black Ops 1 and 2 heading to PS5 with fresh new servers and DLC, but not on Xbox? Is it true that this was Phil's call, like leakers suggest? Yeah, so what's up with that, Jez? Why is Black Ops getting fresh new releases on PlayStation, but not anywhere else? Is it
I don't know.
is it
I have
because
no
of
idea.
Black Ops 1 and 2 is back compat on the Xbox, so they feel like
Well,
they don't need to?
I think that's the assumption, but like backups 1 and 2 on Xbox backwards compatibility is like locked to 720p. It's full of hackers. You know, it sounds like these are going
Is
to be
it? I
some
thought
kind
they
of like
didn't they I thought they fixed it, no?
this was what someone said. I haven't played them myself. It's what's it's the zeitgeist complaint is that they're not up to par. So the problem is like because of everything going on Xbox right now, there's this big sort of PR blackout kind of thing. So it's kind of hard to get information on some of this stuff. I'm trying to find out, but it's probably something I'll be able to find out a bit more about like after the massacre,
I mean, you
after the
figure if
Red
they're
Wedding.
not doing it, it has to be because they already figure they always they have to figure oh it's because it's already back compat on Xbox because why wouldn't you release it? Like if you're already making and apparently on the PS3 like it's just the what is this it's just like the PS3 version that can
Hmm.
run on the PS4 so it also runs on the PS5. So it's not real. I don't know. I have no idea. I saw that announcement. I do think it's weird. But like Jez said, he's looking into it. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out, but it might take it might take a hot minute.
Uh, Analog says Xbox long term plan out of date from yesterday. Yeah. Jay Foley says Jez. Another thing I've seen online is people believe Asha lying about ending the fiscal year at 3% based off what Xbox has shared to shareholders. What do you think about that? Apparently she's
Say that
lying.
again?
Jay Foley
Oh, the
says
yeah.
I see online is that people believe Asha's lying about ending the fiscal year at 3% based off of what Xbox has shared to shareholders.
I mean, it's hard to say. Like, I haven't looked into these numbers or run the math myself, but there is like this lawsuit going on right now where some shareholders have done the math and they're not happy with kind of what's been produced by Amy. Um, so I mean, it's kind of like I suppose like some of the we don't know the details about the accountability margin, how she got to that 3% figure, but some of it might be write downs. They might write off some studios and just be like, this investment just didn't pan out, and they have to report that to shareholders. I don't know the ins and outs of that stuff, but I will try and find out because they in the previous fiscal, Xbox delivered a pretty healthy accountability margin to Microsoft, if I remember correctly.
I mean,
What
the FTC
what
trials had
battered it
Xbox at
was
like 12 or 13%.
yeah. So
Yeah.
what really fucked it, from what I heard, was the decision to put Game Pass to $30. Because not only did that like really hurt Game Pass, which is that sort of stable ongoing revenue and that sort of stable the profits they can feed back to the studios and also the third parties, and also build up a fund to buy retention delivering content. It broke the cycle for Game Pass. It also hurt Call of Duty, but also something that nobody's really talked about. Candy Crush had a really bad year last year. And we always underestimate how much of a big deal Candy Crush is, but Candy Crush is a third of Activision Blizzard's revenue. A third. A fucking third. So like that includes Overwatch, Diablo, like all the rest of it. Just Candy Crush Saga. And it's, all the other stuff. Candy Crush, I was told, is getting battered by a mobile game called Monopoly. Monopoly Go. Have you heard of this game?
I mean, I know what
Monopoly
Monopoly
Go.
is. I don't know if I've heard of Monopoly Go.
So Monopoly Go is it's in that cohort, sort of the boomer audience, I suppose. Monopoly Go is really hurting Candy Crush. So that's another reason why Candy Crush and Call of Duty had an off year. Game Pass had a terrible year, and Xbox the conflicting statements probably just had an impact on everything else as well. It's wild, man. It's wild. Um, but it is what it is, man. It is what
Um,
it is. Are we
Chicago's
in
we're
Patreon
almost
Q&As now?
no, almost.
We need to be soon.
Chicago's says Microsoft should make Bethesda a big Call of Duty type studio for Elder Scrolls and Fallout. Didn't say they're going to increase the budgets and big stuff. I think maybe they did. Uh,
Hmm.
Mucho Man says is the best that could happen Xbox to be spun off like LinkedIn. I
So that
mean,
was another rumor that was flying around that Xbox, like the information put out there. I think we did a podcast about this. The information put out there that Microsoft was exploring, the structure of Xbox and, selling it off and stuff like that was like on the table. And that is true. That is something that, Amy Hood pitched as someone who is an investment banker, hates culture, probably hates Xbox, hates the Xbox community, and hates its staff and employees. So that is obviously something that was proposed, probably will continue to be proposed by Amy Hood, but like I've been told that is not the plan. Um, one of one of the one of the things that is most likely to happen, if anything, is that it becomes structured like LinkedIn, where it becomes a wholly owned subsidiary like LinkedIn or GitHub, where it retains like a degree of operational dependence, but it becomes accountable for its own destiny, kind of thing, right? So like Microsoft would get preferential rates on services rendered, like Azure servers, IP licensing, that kind of thing. So that's how Microsoft benefits from the partnership of the wholly owned subsidiary, i.e. LinkedIn. Microsoft would have freedom from Amy Hood, but at the same time, they wouldn't necessarily have the bailout options if there's a catastrophe. So imagine that like there's a red ring of death situation with Xbox Helix. Microsoft wouldn't necessarily be there to bail them out. They'd have to bail themselves out using their own means, so on and so forth.
yeah,
LinkedIn has been monstrously successful in this model. LinkedIn has, but um, I don't know if it would be a good thing for Xbox personally. I think what the best thing for Xbox will be Amy Hood is found liable in this trial, gets fired,
Jesus Christ, you hate this woman.
and then I do, man.
Jesus Christ.
Nah, I don't know her, but like everything I've heard, like it all comes back to Amy Hood not being able to accept that the entertainment business is not like a bank. That's what it always comes back to. And nobody seems to be able to get that through to her, and I think it would be better for Xbox if she wasn't there and someone who would take a longer term view of what Xbox needs to do to deliver was there. But I don't know. Maybe it's not fair. Maybe I'm being a dick. I don't know.
Uh, we have Shuskami says if it's not true that it's 400 million, what's the actual number? Because according to Edition Star's rough budget calculation, it sounds about right.
Well, the thing is, the 400 million is not all Gears EDAY. You've got to remember that like the coalition is the technological glue for all of Xbox. So they don't just work on games. They work on dev tools. They work on Unreal Engine. They work on a lot of stuff beyond simply Gears of War, right? So some of that money is spread across the entire portfolio, and it's not just the Unreal games either. Like the coalition has contributed to Forza, to Fable, to everything. So it's not really, you can't really say Gears EDAY has a $400 million budget. That's not even the case.
And if it
It's
did, people should be fired.
If it did, people should be fired probably. Oh well, it depends how good Gears EDAY. I mean,
It doesn't matter
imagine
how
Gears.
good is they
What
make.
if Gears EDAY is the best game ever made and it
I mean, it
sells
could be
better than
very good. I
GTA?
mean, like what they showed of it looked great, and I'm sure you're pretty happy being a big Gears fan that it looks
Sure am.
pretty great. But like, there's no like, if even the most optimist projections for it, like it, they're not making its money back at all. And even if it was
No, it
on play,
isn't.
even if it was on PlayStation, it wouldn't make its money. It would lose money. Now, maybe you're
So
okay.
it's working towards a future where there's exclusives
Well,
again,
that's the
though.
exclusivity of it. So maybe you're okay with it losing money if it brings more engagement and more people to the Xbox ecosystem or whatever. Because that's the whole point of it. Because I mean, I did see Sony today or their president or whoever come out and say single player games are exclusive. You know, live service stuff will be everywhere or whatever it is. Uh, and if you're working towards that, and it's going to take time, it's not something that like you can just flick a switch on. Even though like we all wish they could. Like there's a lot of people that'd be like, "Oh man, I wish they just would have went in there and just pulled Halo and pulled Fable and pulled everything from PlayStation and just made everything exclusive." They probably would like to, but they probably fiscally aren't able to. If I had to guess, so they're gonna do it slowly but surely. But I mean, they've talked about it. It's like, how are you gonna get people to buy your stuff? Like, you need a reason for people to buy your system or use your ecosystem versus others, and one of the big ways to do it is exclusives. And the way they're advertising on the dashboard now. I mean, they even got a cute little name for it: signature exclusives. Like, did you catch? That's exactly what they're gonna call them. We're gonna have some. Like, that's what Matthew Ball said: signature exclusives. Like, somehow that it's just bigger than regular exclusives. They're signature, Jez. I love PR because they come up with stupid shit like that. Signature exclusives. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. We'll see how long that lasts. And like, I believe Matthew Ball when he says there's no plans for whatever, but I also believe Sarah Bond when she said the same thing. And look how that turned out. So, like, to use Asha's own phrase, plan's the plan until it's not the plan. You know?
True
Like, maybe Gears EDAY comes to PlayStation in 3 years when Xbox is like, well, Amy Hood's probably like, well, we know you presented a five-year and a 10-year plan how to turn this all around. I'm only willing to give you 2. You didn't accomplish in 5 years what you should have accomplished in 2. So back to doing whatever. And then, that's the problem, is like, neither you nor me nor anybody in chat can be 100% confident that Xbox will stick to their plans for the next 5 years, because that's what I think it'll take a long time to right the ship, if they ever right the ship, honestly. Because it's gonna be tough going. It's gonna be tough going. But I think they could, given, like, a steady influx of great games and, a launch of a great system, what have you, and like exclusivity driving people to the system. This is the question of, will they be allowed to do it? And that sort of thing is like, I don't know. So, I mean, your guess is as good as mine. Maybe they will be, maybe they won't be. I don't know. Satya says one thing one time and then something completely different the next week. YouTube is monetizing Xbox games better than we are. The fuck are you talking about, Satya? I don't know. So yeah. Anyways, I think I know typically we go for 4 hours because that's our sort of thing. We go as long as we want, but it is later in the day. We did start 2 hours later, and Jez has got to prepare to get ready. So we're gonna head to Patreon questions now and get through some of the questions there, and then we'll be. When are you coming back, anyways? How long are you gone for?
I'll be back for next Friday, I think.
Okay, so then we'll be back. But in the meantime,
we'll be back in a week.
Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Check out our sponsor, surfshark.com/XB2 for 86% off 2-year deal. And our Patreon, if you want to support us directly, patreon.com/XB2, where you can submit some questions where we answer every single week at the end, like we're about to right now. You ready, Jez?
Yeah, man. Let's do it.
We have Liam. Says, evening, Jez and Rand. Enjoying the show as always. Love to listen to you guys and hope you both are doing well. With how high budgets are with games nowadays, combined with the length these games are taking to make, do you guys think or feel we are heading towards crash? Somewhat similar to that in 1983. There is some oversaturation in the market, too much to play, especially with the endless black hole games, but I don't believe the quality of games is declining to the level of Atari's E.T. But as I say, the increasing cost of technology, thanks to AI demands, disposable income is becoming less and less with increasing price of necessities. The oversaturation, are we heading towards a crash? Have a great week, guys. Enjoy your vacation, Jez. I don't think
One
we're
thing
heading...
I did... Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead. You go first.
Oh, one thing I did see on LinkedIn recently was, I can't remember who wrote about this, but they were talking about how there was this graph and this chart, and it showed like how much hiring had been done during COVID, and like how much revenue had been produced. So there've been like a lot of publishers, and this wasn't specific to Microsoft, but it was like there was all this hiring, not just in gaming, but like in the tech sector, and like how much revenue had been generated when you remove the AI hype bubble. And yeah, it doesn't look good. So a lot of companies grew their headcount, but didn't grow their base, their revenue, so on and so forth. And Xbox is a victim of that. Xbox grew its headcount, grew its expenses, grew its overheads, but didn't grow its platform. Though it didn't grow its platform because of decisions they'd made. You know, not to invest in exclusives at the behest of Amy Hood, short-term games for long-term pain. The disastrous decisions around Game Pass and stuff like that, right? So I think, but this also extends out to other companies, like, you know, like Sony. If it's true that Sony's going to be laying off 400 developers in Bungie, you know, like there's no Destiny 3 greenlit. Marathon is looking spooky. Like, you know, that's more employees than those 4 studios we talked about earlier combined, or 3 of them at least, not counting Arcane maybe. But it's like, and we saw PlayOn shut down a shitload of studios. Like they grew too fast, and you
That
know the
studio that you were telling me about, Luna, that made Luna Abyss, the shooter you liked in Game Pass, they laid off everybody.
Yeah. Well, the whole Lunar Abyss thing, like I read that, I heard the industry scuttlebutt about Lunar Abyss is that some of the money that was invested in that studio came from a country that has been sanctioned. So like the creditors couldn't get the money they were owed. So like all of the Game Pass funds for that game went straight to the creditors, and that's what killed the studio.
Hmm.
So yeah,
I mean, I
it's
don't think there's going to be a
some,
crash,
but
but
yeah.
there's definitely going to be less studios and like maybe less AAA games or less games that take a risk, especially if you're putting out a lot of money, because games take a lot of money these days and like it's kind of risky. Like, I mean, we already talked about it, but look at all the games coming out this fall. Are all of them going to be successful? No. You know, like you
Mm.
hope they will be. You hope all of them would be, but there's a good chance quite a few of them won't be. And maybe because of that, it's like, oh well, you have one chance these days, and if you don't nail that chance, like then you're done for, and the studio closes because this games take too long and cost too much now, right? So
Mm.
I don't think there'll be a crash personally. Um, let's see, we have Frosty says, "Hey guys, if all these layoffs and closures do go through from this week's news and rumors, my optimistic take is that it's a necessary step, and while it hurts, Xbox will be better off in the future for it. A total reset. My pessimistic take is that Asho's actually brought in to clean house and pretty up Xbox to sell it off in a few years. No tangible growth happens in the next couple of years. Either way, Xbox will have a fighting chance and be a desirable ecosystem as long as Game Pass is invested in. What do you guys think?"
I think you are. Sorry, go on. I was gonna say that I think it's correct that Amy Hood would push for some kind of sell off
To who?
if
Who's got the
well,
money?
that's
Who's got the
exactly
money
it.
to buy Xbox?
Sovereign wealth fund.
I mean, didn't they just spend all their money on EA, like the Saudi Arabia stuff? Who like when
I mean,
Is Elon Musk buy Xbox? I don't.
yeah, fucking maybe.
Apple maybe, but then it's like, why would Apple want them? I'm not sure who would have the funds to.
Apple wouldn't buy it.
I'm just saying who would actually have the funds to buy like not only Xbox but ABK. I mean, they spent $70 billion on ABK for Christ's sake. Not to
Well, it'd be
mention
written down, bro.
Bethesda.
It'd be written down.
Sure, but I mean, let's imagine how much it would take if you were literally to buy the whole Xbox kit and caboodle from Bethesda, the studios to ABK. How much realistically would that cost? With like what? How much money they make every single year? I think they make about $25 billion in revenue every single year.
It's fucking Gabe Newell, man. Gabe Newell just bought a mansion in Florida for 70 million. He could sell some of his mansions and yachts and
Yeah,
buy
and buy
Xbox.
X. Why would Valve want Xbox?
Why wouldn't they? There's a
I
lot of
mean,
IP there.
maybe you could see them selling off piecemeals, like somebody wants Bethesda and they sell that off, or somebody wants like a Blizzard or something, so they piecemeal it out. But like the whole kit and caboodle, I don't really see that happening. As
Mm.
far as like what Frosty says, will they be better off in the future? Maybe. Or is it all just like, a PR way to be like a total reset is to get people like the fans to think this is what's necessary and what's good, and realistically it's not, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to believe, I'm optimistically that, like, yeah, this is what you have to go through because what happened, at with like the multi-platform push and the destruction of your own platform. Like, these are just you're paying for the crimes of the previous administration or whatever. But I mean, I hope I got my I don't want to say I got my fingers crossed, but I hope she's here to make things better and not here in some shady way of being like, actually, I'm here to sunset the brand and get rid of it and just spruce it up or
I
whatever.
I've spoke to Asher a fair bit, and that is not what her goal is. Her goal is to make Xbox bigger and more successful, and but she still has to work within the framework that Microsoft gives her, which is, we need to see uh, definitive growth more rapidly. And I think, truly, the way Xbox was set up before didn't provide her with the best runway coming out of the pandemic and all the rest of it, right? Um, and the Call of Duty decision they made for Game Pass was just a disaster. They should have mathed it out better. I don't know, but it is what it is. It's I think it's fixable. I do think it's fixable. They've got so much great IP. It's just that maybe the era of the hands-off approach is probably over. And like Matt Booty and whoever else is probably gonna have to take a bit of a harder line on being like, no more projects of games that obviously won't sell. You know, they seem to be pivoting back to a retail model, a discretionary spending model, where Game Pass is more supplementary than ever. And that's the model Sony uses. That's the model EA Play uses. Maybe that was the right model all along. Maybe Sony was right. You know, I certainly think Bobby Kotick was a guy who was always about like, you got to be in retail, you got to have a retail presence. And I think Microsoft kind of got ahead of themselves, assuming everything was going to go, rushing over to digital at a breakneck pace, and it has. The addressable audience on digital is obviously massive, but I think like that era of not having a product people can buy directly, I think that has damaged Xbox a lot. The assumption that everything will become Spotify and Netflix, that has damaged Xbox a lot. And, you know, it's great for consumers. Like I love spending $20 a month and getting everything, you know. But is it a viable business model long term? It would be if it was growing, but Asher did say it's returned to growth. Maybe it's just it can't get more expensive than this. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And there is like there is this other thing, like there is something again we don't talk about very much. It's like consumer confidence is at its lowest level since before the pandemic. Consumer confidence index, CCI, being like a sort of economic indicator of how much money people are willing to spend on discretionary things like the non-essentials, the luxuries, right? And gaming is very much sits in that universe. So because of inflation's supposedly going to get worse. Um, Inflation's supposedly going to get worse, and we're looking at a lot of superheated economies right now in the West because of stuff going on with Iran and the price of oil and whatever. Um, there is going to potentially in the short term as well. There's going to be a rush towards free to play games, and not only free to play games, but also not spending in those free to play games. I think Game Pass has a role to play in that universe where people feel like they can get something better value, but they blew up the whole argument. The whole message about Game Pass was destroyed with the $30 price hike. And rebuilding trust and faith in that business model it's going to take time.
Right.
But does Microsoft have time? Remains to be seen.
Goggles Lens says, out of all
Someone's
the things that happened, I think the Senua thing is one of the worst in terms of PR. They need to get this game out. Not only is this game more action adventure, which is a more appealing game in general, but if we thought Scalebound was bad, I can't imagine canceling a game less than a monthish from showing it off at the June showcase. Then this is something else entirely. So now, not only has Asha lied through her teeth on smaller studios being important, but she also knowing knowingly showed the hardcore Xbox audience the game they had little faith in making themselves. Now, every new game coming out of the showcase as well, are they just going to drop this like a bag of rocks? I think that is much worse than just closing the studio without showing anything. This game needs to come out even if someone else buys them. Another thing that crossed my mind is Toys for Bob. Not only did they go independent, which hopefully happens to others, but they are doing Spyro with Xbox. So the smaller game is okay, but smaller games from own studios is not. But the main thing with Toys for Bob is back when they were working on COD. Now, I know we didn't like them being a sports studio for COD, but that kept them alive. Do you guys think that could be an option for some of the other studios? Turn them into a support studio for now when the industry looks rough, and then a few years from now, they can pop their head back up and go do their own thing again when the forecast for gaming looks better. You would have more people working on bigger IPs and still have these smaller studios exist. Also, on a side note, that is probably bitter, but the Halo IP is the only thing holding up Halo Studios at this point. The rumors of the toxic management are true, and 343 already had people from upper management get thrown out, then all of a sudden content started happening again. If it is true that a lot of Halo campaign Evolved is being made, but not by Halo Studios, then when the layoff hammer comes and the toxic people don't get kicked out, they have no idea how to run probably any studio at this point. All we can do is wait and see. Now, I think you could see I think you could see a studio get merged, when they shut down Tango and Alpha Dog and Roundhouse. Jez, they merged a lot of Roundhouse into ZeniMax Online, right?
They, I think
I'm
so.
pretty
If I
sure
remember
they did.
correctly.
They merged a lot of, so like you like I know like Toys for Bob is like probably the best example of like, here's a studio, they didn't really want to be a part of the ABK COD machine anymore, so they probably bought themselves out being independent. Had to still work with Xbox because they were working on Spyro, which now, hey, we own the IP, so you got to work with us. And
Well, sorry, I was just gonna say like there is like a unique factor with Toys for Bob because Toys for Bob is one of the oldest game development studios in the world, and you've got to remember the owners of Toys for Bob, they sold, they got equity twice from selling Toys for Bob. They sold Toys for Bob to Activision, and then Activision sold to Microsoft. So presumably the owners who love Toys for Bob were in a position financially to buy the studio out,
sure,
right?
to buy their
And
independence
they had
again.
their independence and they Spyro is a nostalgic IP. Like I know like there was some discussion about the Spyro, the views on YouTube being inflated because they pushed the Spyro YouTube trailer as an ad. But those comments are 100% organic. There are thousands of comments on that video, you know.
Sure,
And sometimes when you push a video as an ad and there's no comments, you know that like it was just a waste of money. But the fact that people are engaging with it shows there's interest in Spyro, you know.
sure. But my,
So
my point is that like they sort of had to make a deal with Xbox because they were working on Spyro,
mm,
which is an IP Xbox owned. So it's kind of like, yeah, we have to do this. Now I did hear, I don't know if this is a rumor, they already greenlit a Crash game, which I find difficult to believe
mm,
considering the Spyro game's not even out yet. But yeah, I mean, there's a possibility like, maybe one of the studios, like Compulsion or whatever, or Double Fine, gets absorbed into somebody else. But I don't know if people would like that. Like, if I know there's a lot of fans of Double Fine out there, would they be okay if Double Fine was absorbed into I don't know, say fucking 343 as an example, or Halo Studios? Probably not. But
mm,
it's certainly a possibility, considering it's already happened once. Um,
yeah.
Big Afroman says, "Hey guys, I wanted to hear your guys' perspective of this idea online that Xbox is in this position because it's catering too much to its parasocial fan base. I think it's ridiculous to say
Mm.
they listen too much to them when for the past couple years they've stopped listening and done the opposite of what the actual fans of Xbox wanted. Just because loud minority fanboys on Twitter parrot talking points, it doesn't mean they're the core fan base. I keep seeing Kind of Funny and a ton of gaming journalists say that Xbox should just give up on hardware and go full publisher. No disrespect to them, but that's easy for them to say when they don't play on the Xbox platform anymore. It leaves the true Xbox console fanboys distraught when everyone is trying to get rid of my favorite platform that I invest $1,000 in. It leaves me disappointed that no one is really thinking about this part of the story. Sorry for the long rant and keep up the good work." What do you think about the whole
Mhm.
parasocial bullshit, Jez? Because, you know, people say that you've been parasocialed.
Parasocial day. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. Um, I mean, I just I don't really think too much about it. I mean, I kind of like I like being a fan of things personally. I think it's fun. Like he's BlizzCon parasocial, he's QuakeCon parasocial. Like he's going to Comic Con and meeting like Brandon Sanderson or something. Is that parasocial? Like, are we so joyless now that like you can't be a fan of something, but also be willing to criticize it? You know, so I don't really care too much for the whole parasocial thing.
Well,
I
what do
think
you
a lot
think?
of
Well,
it.
no, no. What do you think about the idea that Xbox is in the place they are because they're listening to a few fans on Twitter? That's really what he's saying. That
I
like
don't think Xbox does that. I don't think they do that. I think I think they listen too much to the spreadsheets and they don't listen to their own instincts a lot. I think they know that Twitter is a bubble and that isn't how most people experience the platform. I think maybe marketing or PR maybe listen too much to Twitter,
no, I
but
know
I
they
think
do.
there
You
is
want to know
like
why? Because you remember when Aaron Greenberg put out a fucking a piece of what the fuck was it, YouGov or whatever, where it was like Xbox is the talk of the town again, guys. Aaron Greenberg, the guy that used to console war with the best of them back during the 360 days, the guy that would tweet out Halo has sold more than every PlayStation exclusive combined, has been relegated to pointing out on Twitter that guys, YouGov says that Xbox has talked a lot about since the hiring of Asha. It's at the top of the charts again. Like
I mean it is true.
it is true, but it's so meaningless. It's a meaningless statistic that doesn't mean anything. Like, yay! The only reason it is because they're the only ones saying anything. Like, PlayStation ain't saying shit, neither is Nintendo. Asha was out here doing something every single week. People are
Mhm.
naturally interested in like a new head of Xbox, and she's constantly saying something. So of course it's gonna be like, yeah, like Twitter likes are up and the fucking impressions are up about Xbox because they're the ones saying something. They're the ones searching for the stuff. But it's somehow like to like pose that as like this is a victory. People are talking about us. You know, like it's sad. It's sad and pathetic considering like where they were at, at one point.
Bro, I think I'll be straight with you. I think it's what it is. It's a desperation for them to find a sliver of positivity
Sure,
in what is has been a restless 2 year slog through black grey sludge of social media hate. You know, I don't begrudge Aaron or any of the social media team who live in this shit every single day,
sure.
wanting to find a silver lining. Like it is, as a fan, it is so exhausting that every single time there's like a tiny little bit of hey, there's like some positive stuff going on. We just know the rake's around the corner. It is so tiring, bro. Like
Sure.
every time I turn on my phone or my laptop, it's just like I'm barraged with fears
Barraged.
from people, barrage, like with fears from people, worried about the platform that they have invested thousands in. And you do have these podcasts like from people who don't actively, they're not invested in the
Of
platform,
course.
in any way, shape, or form. And they're mad at Microsoft for laying people off, and then they advocate for Microsoft shutting down and laying people off in the same breath. Like the cognitive dissonance is one thing, but it's just sort of like the callous nature towards the entire fan base for me is something that really bugs me. So I don't know. This is a slight tangent here on the question, but um, I do think I do think like Xbox figures listen to social media maybe too much, but they're human too. So like, why wouldn't they? I don't think they're making decisions based on social media with regards to strategic considerations.
I don't think
I think
so.
there is. I think there's tangible evidence that are not having exclusives hurt the platform. It's the loss leader that markets your ecosystem, and I honestly question like should they be pushing exclusives on PC more? Because I think PC is probably the place to look to grow. And I don't think you can grow your ecosystem on PC without exclusives either. Epic Games just announced a full remake of the Epic Game Store coming later this year.
Yeah.
So
And their and
Epic
their
Games is not
and their
they're
whole
not giving
plan
up on
is
that
to
shit.
copy Steam from 8 years ago. I saw the Kotaku headline.
I didn't see that, but
Yeah,
Steam is the standard, so of
I
course they're
know,
gonna copy it.
I know.
Everyone says everyone looks at Epic Games, they look at the Xbox Store, and they say, "Where are these features?" Steam has this. Steam
But
has this.
don't you?
Steam is
Here's
the
the
one
thing.
to
But
copy.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Okay, we're going to tangent on the Steam thing. If you actually want people to use your store, you can't just copy Steam and do what Steam does because Steam already exists and does it better than you. You're going to have to offer something far and beyond what Steam is capable of to get anybody to even
Well,
consider you.
this is why Xbox PC is bigger than the Epic Game Store because it offers something
Yeah, because
different,
it's
and
got
that is
Game
Game
Pass. Yeah,
Pass.
that's true.
It's
But
got
I'm
Game
just saying it's not going to do shit for Epic because people have had Steam. They're like, Epic has to do something completely different and completely unique. And even still, it's probably not going to help. But just being like, hey, we're Steam now is not going to matter. But the whole idea, the whole thing with the parasocialism, I think it's an easy way for people is they see like hardcore fans like Clobril and everybody else being like, hey, going multi-platform was dumb. You should bring back exclusives. They saw like Clobril say that stuff about the logos, which we always talked about being like, it's stupid. And then like Asha reply to that and then being like, oh, Xbox is kowtowing to these toxic people on the internet or whatever. And then to see that Xbox is actually bringing exclusives back, it like in their mind, it's simply to make people like the hardcore fans on Twitter be happy and to like maybe distract them from the
No, I disagree.
I'm
With
saying that's how those people view it because they'll try to like see two and they'll try
that.
to put together the C4 and they'd be like they're doing this simply to do this, but like I don't think it's the case because Xbox wasn't listening to the fans. There was a point where they were listening to the fans. Then they bought Bethesda and then they bought ABK and they stopped listening to the fans. And like everything Xbox was everything the fans didn't want them to do. And they did it anyways. And then like look what happened. Like they're gone and now you have new people in here. And so I think there was always the plan of doing exclusives because I think it does matter. To at least have some. You can't not have any because I think maybe once like the full accounting comes of what happened at Xbox, like when it's like, hey, when they decided to go multi-platform and the Game Pass stuff, and like when like the true accounting of what happened and like how awful it became, like at Xbox, like store revenue wise and all that stuff, and then maybe people can like be like, oh, okay, I can see why, but like you needed to bring it back. And I think it's just an easy way for people who are upset that they can't play Gears EDAY on their PlayStations or they can't play Clockwork Revolution on their PlayStations and they might have to like, well, I got to get an Xbox or whatever. But then they're perfectly fine when, Sony's pulling back from PC or they'll, praise Nintendo strategy of exclusivity and stuff. It's like everybody can have exclusives but Xbox and it's okay with that. Now, to be fair, Xbox was the one that was like, we don't have exclusives anymore. And like Sarah Bond, I think even said exclusives are an antiquated idea. So like they set themselves up for this. And, you reap what you sow. And Xbox is kind of sowing now and it's not the greatest. So you have all these people being like, I think I can run Xbox better than you. And this is what I would do if I was there. But it's a lot of people who don't play on the ecosystem and don't have anything invested in telling you how you should feel about everything, which is, always a chuckle. I always laugh when people like, hey, do you actually play on Xbox? No, dude, I play on PC or I'm playing PlayStation. Then shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Anyways, let's see what else we got here. Gustav says, hey, Rand and Jez, long-time listener, new Patreon and first-time questioner. Awesome, thank you.
Hey, dude.
More of a statement than a question, but really love to hear your thoughts. Very sorry it's a long one. Can we please talk about how incredible Game Pass is? I recently completed Expedition 33. I'm now playing Hades 2, and have Hollow Knight Silksong and Blueprints to get to next. These are the 4 most critically acclaimed games of last year, and that is on top of Forza, Fable, Gears, and Clockwork Revolution, etc. And amongst the noise of studio closures and spin-off rumors, I've heard people questioning Game Pass. There is no world in which I would buy all these games as full-price releases. I don't have a huge amount of gaming time these days, so it would feel like wasted money. I am, however, very happy to pay my Game Pass Ultimate price each month, knowing that I have access to a bank of incredible games and can dip in whenever I have time. That reliable and predictable revenue is also extremely valuable to Xbox. There is a reason businesses across all industries are obsessed with trying to sell subscriptions. Unless literally every game becomes Xbox exclusive, Game Pass will remain the main reason why I choose to play an Xbox. Thoughts? Hey, I mean, Game Pass is pretty great. I mean, nobody says it wasn't until it became $30 a month. And then it was like, oh shit, am I getting my money's worth? But there are great games on Game Pass. I mean, you mentioned it. Like, if you're someone who like
No,
plays a
there's
lot of
crazy.
games
Like, yeah,
and plays a lot of different style of games, you're gonna find shit there that you love, and you're gonna play a lot. And I think there's even terms internally they use, like explorer and all this sort of other nonsense or whatever that they
yeah,
have,
Grazer,
grazer and
Grazer.
shit like that. But
It's
absolutely,
it's true. Game Pass is amazing. Like, but it's like it wasn't. It stopped being amazing at $30.
yeah.
But like I've been like every now and then I'll look at like there'll be a sale on Xbox PC. I play a lot on Xbox PC these days. I've got an Xbox Ally and I've got a 5080 now, which is a
5080.
fucking I got 5080. It's a fucking monstrous card. And it's the first time I've had a PC that's more powerful than console. And yeah, it's kind of like the meme of the pigeon biting the cracker and being like, oh wow, that's pretty cool.
Mm.
Um, and every time I look at like Xbox PC, and it's like there's a big sale on right now on Xbox PC, like up to 80% off. And I click on it, and like a lot of the games that are on sale, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna buy that. And it's like, oh, it's on Game Pass, and games I didn't even know were on Game Pass, And then I download it and I play it, and and then a lot of games like keep coming back to Game Pass. Like I think Persona 5 came back to Game Pass. Like it's a fantastic service, for the at the price it is now. $30 I think was just a bit it was a bit too spicy, I think. You know. But I also get it through my phone carrier, which makes it even cheaper. Um I don't know. It's it works really well as a business model when they know how much they're getting in and they know how much they can spend. And when they put Call of Duty in, it just fucked that cycle up really badly. And I think they don't push Game Pass enough as a system seller. But the problem is, you can't get systems to sell right now. And from what I've heard, they are losing in the hundreds of dollars on every Xbox console sold right now. So, like, you could make the argument that you don't want to sell consoles right now. You want to monetize the people you've got even harder or meet them where they are, i.e., multi platform games or on PC, which I suppose is what they're doing until the memory crisis abates. But yeah, I don't know. Game Pass is fantastic. And I wrote an article not long ago about all the things about Xbox we take for granted, like cloud saves and, you know, uh, just having the ability to run a cloud game to test it out without having to download it fully, like all that kind of stuff. Like the Xbox platform is a genuinely fantastic platform. It's not perfect, but that's why I think so many of us are so passionate about discussions from bad faith actors who want to see it go away for whatever reason.
Yeah.
There's so much potential here, so much potential unlocked to be unlocked.
Yeah. Well, we got a lot more questions, Jez. So,
Oh, we need to fly through them, man.
all right.
Because
I
I've got
know
to
I
sleep.
know it's getting late for you. So, no more tangents, Jez.
No more tangents.
Silas says, "Hey guys, with all the upcoming reset activities going on within Xbox, especially the desire to rely more on their top IPs, my first thought goes to Todd Howard. As we know, he likes to be very hands-on with regards to mainline Elder Scrolls and Fallout franchises. I don't think that's going to fly with Asha. She's not going to wait 8 to 10 years for the next Fallout. I think she's going to put other devs on it, regardless of what Todd wants. With that being said, I think best case scenario, he lasts until Elder Scrolls 6 is done, maybe retires sooner. Thoughts?" Um, honestly, I sort of disagree with you. I feel like the mainline Bethesda is the ones who are gonna it's gonna be Elder Scrolls 6, and they're the ones who are gonna be Fallout 5. And then like it'll be other studios that do like a Fallout New Vegas or something. I don't really see another studio doing a Fallout 5. I think there'll be other Fallout games, but I think like the proper fifth one will
That's going to be Todd.
it's gonna be Todd, assuming he's still there. Maybe he's not. Maybe with Phil gone, maybe he rides off in the sunset. Maybe he stays and devotes more of his time to, like, I don't know, like doing stuff with the TV show and stuff. Maybe not. But I don't really see somebody else doing Fallout 5 personally.
The thing about Fallout 5, and like it does take a while for these games to get out, but like with Todd like co-producing the TV show, Microsoft's probably very happy with him personally overall because he does oversee a lot of it, you know. And yes, they chose to make Starfield, which is delayed Elder Scrolls 6, which is delayed Fallout 5, but you know, it's just a historical kind of thing. You can't just be like, we're gonna fire Todd, the architect of this IP, which is blown the fuck up because of the TV show. And to his credit, they did kind of revive 76. So I don't think that they're frustrated with Todd. I think it's just a kind of like it is what it is kind of situation, you know.
Jez, if you could go back and get them to not do Starfield, where like Elder Scrolls 6 is already out and Fallout 5 is coming out in a couple years, would you?
Yeah.
Mm.
Hindsight's 2020, but Starfield just didn't hit, man. Like I was excited for Starfield. I remember the hype for Starfield was just people were nauseous with hype for the potential of that.
Nauseous. Mm.
Nauseous with hype, like Skyrim in space. Like there's no better like thing you can imagine, but it just too overambitious, man.
It is.
You can't
Remember,
make you can't make space. The thing about
Jez, no
Fallout,
tangents.
yeah. Well, it's density, man.
I know,
It's
but I'm
too
saying we got a lot
diffuse.
more questions. No tangents. Are you going to be here for another
No
hour?
tangent. Yeah, let's stop the tangents. I might have
Uh,
to put a word count limit on these questions.
Bilal Bilal says, "Hello, my favorite peeps, the dynamic duo. Rand, you got your wish. Gears announced as console exclusive, and chaos erupted. 100%. I loved it. I loved it. People have completely lost their shit. Even the layoff thing was somehow in some form about Gears being exclusive. It sure was for whatever dumb reason. Even Greg Miller wants to kill the hardware and thinks all games should be multi-platform. Oh, just Xbox games though, not PlayStation games, of course. Not Nintendo games either, just Xbox. Anyways, guys, my question for this week is it just me or has Xbox been doing great sales frequently on storefront lately, both on Xbox and the PC side, maybe even more so on the PC side with the Play Anywhere stuff. I've even noticed a $10 gift card bonus with things like 007, etc. What do you guys think? I did notice that offer where it was like pre-order 007 and play it on PC and get $10 or whatever.
I did say that as well, yeah.
The great sales stuff. I mean, I don't think they're doing anything more than they've done in the past. It's like sales, they're usually always very cyclical and stuff. So I haven't really noticed anything out of the usual. Have you, Jez?
Um, mm, I don't know. I mean, I do notice that I do notice that like I said earlier, there is often like these great sales events. And I think there was even like some lawsuit going on where it was alleged that Steam and Microsoft had colluded to make sure their sales events coincided and they didn't undercut each other or some bullshit, which would potentially be anti-competitive, right? Um, but uh, Steam has shaped the expectation on PC, and the expectation on PC is that you wait for a sale. You know, people often talk about like, oh, Game Pass means people don't want to buy games anymore. Not many people talk about the fact that Steam sales has trained people to wait for a sale, right? But it's the same kind of thing. So I think Microsoft, to some degree, is responding to that culture, like the Steam sale culture. Um, but you know, if it works, it works. What I want to see Xbox PC get more than anything is organic growth. And so far, we don't see games hit PC, Xbox PC, unless they have a Game Pass bag, and I think that's a problem for Asher to solve.
Mm. We have C. Woody says, "Hello, Jez and Rand. My question this afternoon will no doubt be what everybody's talking about. Why isn't Hydro Thunder for the 360 on Game Pass? Microsoft is listed as the publisher. What's the dealio? Please run this all the way up the chain of command. It is of the utmost importance this issue gets on Asuka's desk by the weekend. Thank you for your attention
That
to
is
this matter."
fantastic.
Yes.
Um, yeah, you know what? I will run that up the chain uh,
Mhm.
when things settle. I'll run it up the chain. But
Yes.
it is interesting. Like there is the xboxgamepreservation.com is a website where you can vote requests like that. So go to xboxgamepreservation.com, slam in Hydro Thunder as a suggestion, and hey, maybe you'll get it.
Maybe you will. Uh, Super Redbeard says, "Hello, goats of Xbox podcasting." Well, thank you. My question is
Thank you
more of
very
an
much.
observation, but I wanted to know you guys' thoughts on the matter. Since 2013, it feels like the gaming media as a while has had it out for Xbox sharing games with X1, no games during the generation, Game Pass unsustainable, all games should be multiplied, etc., etc. With so much negativity, that's been how at Xbox as a brand, why do these same pundits that have piled on seem to think that the only way forward is going third party? Or why do they not feel any sense of accountability with downplaying how great the Xbox hardware has been to promote their love for PlayStation? I saw a thread on Twitter where this guy was trying a Series X for the first time and finding out about all the cool features like gifting games and whatnot. I've seen gaming media personalities complain about features like PlayStation does not have, and glossing over that Xbox does have said features. I feel like I'm going crazy here. Anyways, what do you guys think about the narrative that's been peddled for so long? I mean,
I think part of
that's
it
what.
is just ignorance. They just don't
Sure.
know the platform. They don't use the platform. Like I don't know the features PlayStation have because I don't own a PlayStation, so I don't know what features they don't have, like except for like a very superficial level. Which is why I rarely comment on what PlayStation should do with its ecosystem because I'm not that familiar with it. But like and I don't pretend to be a multi. I don't think me or Rand pretend to be like a multi-platform podcast like a lot of these
Well,
gaming
that's
podcasters
not
do.
necessarily. I mean, I play games on PlayStation when there's, you know, I mean,
Yeah, but it's not your passion, is it? You don't pretend to be like, "Oh,
my
I'm a
passion's
multi-platform
games.
guy."
My passion's games. I can get all the games on Xbox and I can play the ones I don't miss on PlayStation. You know, fuck Nintendo.
Yeah, but
Sorry, Don
you're Xbox
Nintendo.
first, though, right? You're
I'd
Xbox
rather
first,
play everything on
right?
Xbox first, but I'm not gonna play something because it's on PlayStation.
No, of course not. I mean, I never said that. I mean,
Sure,
there's a
sure,
lot of games that you've got no choice, right? But
sure.
these guys, like, they don't even do that with Xbox. I mean, Xbox hasn't give them a reason to with
I
no
mean,
exclusives,
for
but
some of them, why
even
wouldn't
if
you?
they
If
do,
you could just play on PlayStation and get
yeah.
Xbox games and PlayStation games, why would you play on Xbox?
Well, exactly,
I mean,
exactly. Or on, or but they're not going to be on. They're going to be on Steam as well. So it's ignorance, and and it sort of it betrays the fact that the neutral journalists aren't really as neutral as I suppose they would like people to think that.
here's the thing I know that nobody likes to say is like people like a lot of the journalists will be like, oh, it's just a fanboy or just whatever. Keep in mind that a lot of these journalists are also fanboys. They just hide it a lot better than everybody else. Trust me,
Yeah,
I know. I've seen some threads of prominent journalists that are very much who will call out toxic fanboys, but are very toxic fanboys themselves behind the scenes.
in
Trust me.
private.
Trust
Yep,
me on this.
yep, yep.
Trust me on this. They aren't the angels they
Oh, we know.
present themselves as.
Oh, we know.
Uh-huh. What else we got here? Darian says, "Hey, Rand and Jez. While it seems to make sense to me that Microsoft would spin off Xbox into its own business, like LinkedIn or GitHub, it also feels like Xbox is far too central to Microsoft's mission to spin off. Specifically, it feels like Helix is core to Microsoft's reinvigorating Windows, and if Xbox is a separate business, Windows isn't their product, and reinvigorating it isn't part of their mission statement. It's unclear how they keep the close coordination between the two and help bolster Windows at a time when it's struggling to stay relevant. If the stewards aren't two different companies, the next step is that they could potentially put Windows in with the Xbox company, but it's really hard to imagine a Microsoft that doesn't have primary responsibility for the Windows product. While GitHub and LinkedIn have proven effective business strategies, they just don't feel like they are core to the Microsoft and Microsoft services. I just don't see how a similar approach could be successful with Xbox. Am I missing something?
I mean, you're not wrong. Like, there is like that sort of fear, I suppose. Like, Xbox is very bound up with Azure, and Microsoft might charge Amy Hood being potentially vindictive towards Xbox, might charge an extortionate amount for Azure services and that kind of thing. Microsoft and Xbox as a subsidiary would struggle to decouple itself from Xbox, from Azure, and all that kind of stuff. So it's I suppose it could be a double-edged sword. Like they get the freedom, but then they also Microsoft could bludgeon them with that freedom. So overall I don't like the idea. My preference would be that Amy Hood becomes a subsidiary instead. make Microsoft Financial Service um a subsidiary. I don't fucking know. But
Uh,
it's a tough. It's nobody's got a crystal ball, you know. Mark NL one up in chat says Xbox should use Amazon Web Services. I was literally thinking that.
mm,
Maybe like Xbox could just switch to Amazon and give Microsoft a middle finger. But you know,
that'd
it's
be funny.
one of the ways these companies sort of lock you in is they make it very, very hard once you're in Azure or Amazon Web Services or Oracle or whatever else. They make it very hard to get out because you become so dependent on their proprietary systems that decoupling yourself becomes almost impossible. Like our company, Future PLC, all of our systems are integrated with Google Apps. I think it would be absolutely impossible for us to leave Google. It would be impossible. Like Microsoft could come in and be like, "Oh, switch to Azure. We'll offer you all this stuff. We'll do your provisioning for you. We'll switch you over and all that stuff." It would be so expensive and so disruptive that it's just not worth it. You know, at least quarter over quarter, not worth it. But yeah, I don't know.
We got Rave Damos says, "Hey Rand and Jez, it feels like Xbox's biggest enemy isn't PlayStation; it's their own terrible timing and communication. From the Xbox One vision being a generation too early to going multi-plat right on the eve of their first-party investments bearing fruit, they just can't execute at the right moment. Now they're considering closing the various studios responsible for the most unique award-winning games like South of Midnight Keeper and Hellblade 2. You could practically write the story today, save it in your desktop, and publish it in January 2029 when Xbox inevitably lifts its head out of the sand and says, 'We want beautifully creative games again.' Why can't Microsoft see the writing on the wall?" That reminds me, Jez, of remember when they talked so highly about Hi-Fi Rush and then shut down Tango GameWorks and Hi-Fi Rush? That was another one of those Matt Bootyisms.
Jesus.
Remember? It was Matt Booty.
Mm.
It said
Like
maybe
I said, I think Matt Booty believes this stuff, and then Amy and the bean counters beat him over the head with it.
sure. That's why I say Xbox and people at Xbox should stop talking. But they never listen to me. Why can't Microsoft see the writing on the wall? What corporate math are they seeing that the rest of us aren't? Well, we don't have their books, for one. But yeah. The best I can muster is that since Xbox simply isn't healthy in its current state, leadership feels they need to fix it at whatever cost. And to do that, they think they need to be leaner and more independent to move much faster. Personally, I have hope Xbox can eventually become a wholly separate subsidiary to do just that, allowing them to fix their horrible timing issues and generally return to their dark horse roots. I mean, I
Mm.
get your whole stance about South of Midnight Keeper and Hellblade 2, but if you're Asha and you come in and you're looking to make cuts because that's your job, and you're looking at those because the amount of money that is spent on them and the return that they get is minuscule, and then you look at your Dooms, your Wolfensteins, your Halos, your Gears, your Elder Scrolls and stuff, where it's like that's where the money's coming from and that's where we need to be. And Asha being like no ties to gaming whatsoever, yeah, you're gonna cut those studios. I'm sorry, like that's a tough thing to say, but you're gonna cut them. And Phil probably protected them, 100% protected those studios and gave them the creative freedom to make what they wanted to make. And it was like, don't worry about it. Game Pass will solve the problems. But that only works when Phil's in charge. And I guess it only works when we're not spending $80 billion for ABK. And then after that, the bill comes due. But like, I get what you're saying 100% about like, we're like, yeah, in 2039 or 2029, be like, oh man, where are our beautifully creative games that win awards? And it's like, well, you shut down the studios that could have made it. But that's just kind of where you were at in 2026 when you're coming in and you're
Mm.
told like, hey, you need to cut X amount. And it's like you're looking at the studio list and you're like, okay, well, South of Midnight cost $100 million and made $20 million or whatever it is. Like, what do you think we're doing? Right? That's just typical.
Yeah.
That's just spreadsheet math, And I think if Phil was there, I think Phil protected the studios and their creative freedom as much as he could. But he's no longer there to do that. So it's, Asha's there to make the tough decisions that basically nobody at Xbox wanted to or could make because they were really too close to everything. Logan, what?
Mm.
What'd you say?
Sorry, nothing.
Logan Says, hey guys, question: would Xbox consider doing their main show a different time of year than June? Feels like the yearly hype event followed by fiscal year change in July is a brutal rug pull for everyone. Cheers. I don't think so. I think partially because that's when the entire industry is out in LA because SGF is there. So they're just kind of, that's when it's going to be. You know, I don't see them changing the strategy, that whole thing, simply because like their fiscal year ends in June and begins in July. You know, it's like the whole
Mm.
industry's in LA in June because SGF, so you got to be there too, essentially. Now I guess you could. Well, I mean, maybe you could move it to September or whatever. I don't know. I don't see them changing it. And Jez is not going to answer either. So, Jez, no, hello.
Sorry. I was just my girlfriend's packing for a vacation, so I
Well
was
then,
just helping her with something.
okay. You don't see them changing the showcase to a different month than June, do you?
No, I think like the thing about Summer Game Fest is like it's gradually becoming an E3 replacement. So unless Summer Game Fest moved, so like everything could be together, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I would much prefer it in May, to be honest.
Pat Rack says this
But
might be a controversial question, but don't you think if Xbox fit the bill for Hellblade 2 2.5, they should be able to keep the IP? I don't see any of these studios keeping IP. Look what Xbox has done with Quantum Break, Sunset Overdrive, Halo, even with Spyro. They let the studios go, but keep the IP they want. And to be fair, should they allow Double Fine to leave and not at least keep Brutal Legends and Psychonauts? How does that even work? Do they give them a buyout price for there's a studio name and freedom, then add the value of the IPs they want to take on top? I don't know how it works either, but they did let Tango keep Hi-Fi Rush. So
they did.
I don't
Um,
know if that's because like they bought it with them, or it was like a carrot to for the publisher to actually buy them and being like, hey, if you buy them, we'll give you the IP that you want, right? I don't really know. So
Maybe the idea is to get some kind of royalty if those games do eventually do something, but I just want to know that EA owns the IP to Brutal Legend, not Microsoft or Double Fine.
yeah,
But I suppose Microsoft owns Psychonauts.
I mean there was
But
also
I do think Microsoft would. I think Microsoft is going to be generous potentially with whatever happens to these studios to try and set them up for success for the positive PR beats, if nothing else. If we want to be mercenary
well
about it, but
remember
um,
when the reporting came out about Perfect Dark about how Take Two wanted the game. And they were in negotiations and stuff, and it fell apart because of ownership. Where it was like, I think Take Two wanted the Perfect Dark IP, and Microsoft's like, no, 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 you're gonna license it. And Take Two's like, the hell we are.
mm,
And then it fell through. But maybe that's different because I would imagine if like you put Senua in there with the object to sell it, then whoever's potentially gonna buy the studio would presumably get the IP too. Because
I think
otherwise, what's the
one of
point?
the
Who's gonna? Why would anybody want to license the IP? You aren't Marvel. You aren't Disney. You
Hellblade's.
aren't Star Wars.
I do think Hellblade's a bit different because the actress who plays Senua is also a developer in Ninja Theory. So it's kind of like you can't own her face kind of thing. So maybe it's a bit different, but I don't know. Quantum Break is one thing that bugs me because like I do think Remedy would have done more with that than Microsoft did.
Yeah.
But hey, at least I got Alan Wake.
Microsoft's like Smog. They like sit on all their treasure, not doing anything with it. They sit on all this IP, and they're like, "We have it, but it's not doing anything for us, but we have it."
We
Chris
sure
says,
do.
"Hello, guys. Hope you're able to find some things to enjoy this week, despite the relatively negative nature of the gaming news." To that point, for you, Jez. So listen, Jez. Do you think it's likely we'll
I'm
see
listening.
a contraction within the gaming industry? Clearly, the news out of Microsoft is pretty bad, with the rumors that even Ninja Theory is on the chopping block despite having a game scheduled for next year. But add to that, Nintendo took a significant stock hit right after their showcase, and recent reports on PlayStation show that their exclusives had declining sales since 2020, and it seems the entire industry as a whole is in a rough shape. Do you think we'll see the major platform holders, Steam aside because they don't really develop, take a step back from the major AAA high-cost games, with likely more studios on the chopping block across the board as the old model of selling games doesn't seem to be as viable in this modern age. They compete now with the flurry of free to play and black hole games, along with losing a lot of screen time to social media and other attention devouring pastimes. It kind of feels like the answer is simply going to be less games in the future, as right now it feels like the supply exceeds the demand. Well, here's to the upcoming great games we do know we're getting and hope for better news in the future.
I mean, I do completely agree that supply probably exceeds demand, and it's I think it's because like I think this was one of Phil's things. Like Phil really wanted PlayStation, Nintendo, and Xbox to collaborate and work towards a future where they were competing less against each other and more competing against other forms of entertainment. Because with PlayStation and Xbox focusing so much on each other and the millennial cohort, they neglected the next generation. And now we've got like entire generations of kids who are just Roblox, 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 right? And I think Microsoft and PlayStation focusing so much on us, the core, is what caused that, you know. So I do think there's definitely an oversupply, especially if you're on PC. There's so much good shit. Like Steam just had Steam Next Fest. There is so much good indie stuff hitting Steam. It is absurd. So that audience who will play like a huge variety of like smaller games. Steam has cornered that audience. Roblox has cornered like a younger kind of audience. At least Microsoft has Minecraft to some degree. And then as the core, the audience that wants these AAA kind of games, I definitely agree that there's probably an oversupply. Like look at September. Like we're talking about September. Nobody's going to buy every single great game that's coming out in September. Like nobody's going to buy all of those games, or at least only like really really rich people maybe. People might pick one or two at most to buy in September on average, and they'll wait for a sale or a Game Pass drop for the rest of them. So I don't think it'll crash, but I do think like we're in for like at least a couple of years probably of contraction. Um, and one thing I want to see from Asha as an innovator, because she is an innovator in this space, what is the X factor? What is the unique feature? What is her Xbox Live? Because it was really Xbox Live as a feature, as an innovation that propelled Xbox to even have a chance to stand toe to toe with PlayStation. Xbox needs an innovation like that. The industry needs an innovation like that, which can grab attention from the iPads and the whatever else is of the world. But will Microsoft even give her the runway to do that? I don't know. Microsoft has not innovated particularly well under Satya's tenure. It has operated like a bank rather than an innovator and a leader.
Jez,
And
tangents.
the the stock price is suffering for it. So
Tangents, Jez.
yeah, tangent over.
Yeah, well, I Mike Zero says, "Hey, Rain and Jez, apologies for the small rant, and there's a question in here, but I feel like I'm going to full Tim Dog these days. There's so much commentary around Xbox's business models and strategies rather than the games. It's becoming tiresome. For a small moment in time, we got back to everyone talking about the games, and it was glorious. We need more dedicated game coverage. If people are to buy games, they need to hear about and get exposed to games that are out there. They aren't going to the local GameStop anymore and learning what is coming out. Remember having to decline pre-ordering another game at the point of sale? Anyways, what is something you all found annoying back in the day but would rather deal with now than the stuff we are putting up with in 2026?"
Hmm.
Uh, hmm.
Well, one thing that annoyed me back in the day was just not having enough money to buy games. And now I've got money to buy games, and Game Pass
But
exists.
you'd rather
I don't have enough
you'd rather deal with not having
time.
any money now.
Well, well, I don't have enough time now. So it's like the opposite problem.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
whole fucking meme. So, um, what did I find annoying back in the day?
I mean, it was annoying to go to GameStop and you pre-order a game, and they'd be like, "What about you? Want to get the magazine? You want to get this? You want to get that?" It's like, no, I don't. You know?
See, I never bought games like that. I never bought games like that really. I used to like even I think the UK was maybe a little bit ahead of the curve with the online shopping. I used to buy all my games from it was called play.com, I think.
Now this
And
may
they'd ship it
this may be
in a
nostalgia
box.
speaking, and whatever. And I'll do it quickly because we do got to go here. But I sort of
We do.
I sort of miss Friday nights going up to Blockbuster with your friends and seeing what's in stock instead
Mm.
of mindlessly scrolling through Netflix or one of the streaming services and trying to pick out something to watch. It feels soulless to do that unless you already know what you're watching. Like, for instance, I'm watching Widow's Bay on Apple TV. Highly recommend. One of the best shows of the year. Probably the best show I've watched since, I don't know, maybe Andor. Please, if you have Apple TV, even if you don't have Apple TV, subscribe to Apple TV and watch Widow's Bay, Jez. Please. Everybody in chat.
I've heard of that.
It is so good. Dare I say, almost masterpiece level. It's a horror comedy. Please watch it. It is so, so good. But unless you already know what you're watching, which I typically do when I get on these streaming services, like I already know what I'm going to watch. Hey, I'm watching Widow's Bay. Hey, I'm watching The Burrows. Or hey, I'm watching this new show or whatever. It feels
Not anymore. The
so.
Burrows got
I
cancelled.
know, I saw it got canceled. But I'm just saying, if it feels so soulless and lifeless where you're just scrolling through a block of content or whatever. Whereas,
Rand,
like. What?
I'll finish off this point with another small tangent. But one of the things that I've noticed from like friends who are my age who have kids who are now coming up to like their late teens, there is this huge rush on analog. There's this huge rush on analog, like cassettes and like old cameras. This is a whole fucking thing now. Like the older Gen Z, like, or the younger Gen Z rather, they are like obsessed with this analog because they want the soul back. They are sick and immersed too much in digital, and there is this sort of trend, this cyclical thing, you know. And I was looking on Amazon the other day because we've got a really old car. Like our car is like 18 years old. It's got a cassette player. So just on a whim, I was like, can I buy some cassettes for this fucking car? And to my surprise, a lot of modern albums are being sold on cassette again. Like modern recent albums. Like there's a lot of classics, but there's also like modern artists selling stuff on Amazon on cassette.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you've tapped into something there, like with the whole analog thing, and Microsoft seems to have identified this with the sort of nostalgic, glassy rebrand of Xbox, right? I wonder if there's something Microsoft can, when the dust settles and Asher and all those guys get back into innovation phase, maybe there's something to be had there, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, like because like going to Blockbuster back then was exciting. You know, is the movie
Mm.
you're gonna want to see? Is it in? You know, like the fun of actually like having something like a movie to watch, like it's a like a treat or whatever, and like that was all super awesome. Like going up there, maybe getting some snacks or like knowing that you're gonna come home and Domino's will be there. Like it was fun and adventurous and exciting, and you compare that to the streaming stuff now, and it's just like there's no comparison. So like, yeah, maybe I'd rather deal with having to get in the car and go to the store and deal with other people and deal with the fact that it may be out for now versus now. But then it's like, but now I'm 44. It's like it's different. Like I'm not going up there with my friends anymore or whatever. But that is one thing I do. Maybe I'm just nostalgic for. Maybe I would hate it, and I probably would, being the age I am.
Mm.
But as one thing I do, like, I remember very fondly. Good old Conwood says, hello, Rand and Jez. A book question for Rand. Rand, how do you find new stories? I don't mean new books from your favorite authors, but new books from someone you've never heard of. I got this question after reading an article considering stopping publishing hardcovers for being too expensive. There are fewer and fewer bookshops every year, and it's easier and more convenient to read and publish ebooks and e-stories. The irony is that because it's much easier to write your own e-story, it means everyone is writing their own e-stories, and thus you can't read them because there are too many e-stories. And life is too short to find the good ones. I know you don't like ebooks, so how and where do you go to find something new and worthwhile to read? Well, I have certain booktubers I follow that will give out recommendations or whatever, and I'll add them to a list, and And just kind of like anything, like even video game reviewers, you find somebody you jive with or whatever, and you kind of like, oh, they liked it, maybe I'll like it. And obviously books aren't as expensive as video games. But yeah, like it's a combination of finding people I like on BookTube. Um, I tend to like keep track of what I'm reading on like Goodreads and other platforms. So like they'll also come up with like, oh, you like this book? Well, maybe check out that one, and then you kind of like read the summaries and check out the reviews on that in Amazon and be like, okay, maybe it's cool. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like anything
Mm.
else. So that's pretty much that.
Yeah.
Let me check to see if there's any more. I don't think so. I don't think so. Let's
We
see.
got super chats, I think.
I know. Hold on. I'm just making sure we got everything.
Roger, Roger.
I think we did. We have. Let's see here. D-Man says, would Xbox be ran better if it was spun off? I mean, maybe, maybe not. I have no idea.
It's really hard to say.
Mr. Supernova says, Jez, I hope you explained to Rand what happened after Gul'dan opened the Orc portal in the World of Warcraft universe. I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
Bad,
Nothing good, probably.
bad, bad things.
Pure Shooter 7477 says, I went to Chicago last month to see the sights. I walked to Navy Pier, went to the Field Museum, etc. I tried to stop by, but gate security was unfriendly and the barrier wall was too high.
Hmm.
Try to stop by what? My place? Please. Gate security, unfriendly. Come on now. That's funny though. Hope you enjoyed your time in Chicago. Well, Jez, I think we've got everything done. So
Sweet. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in, and
yes,
it's good to be podcasting with you again, buddy.
yeah, it's good to be back. We should be back next week after Jez gets back. Well, Jez will be on vacation, so something's gonna happen. Count on it. Whether it's
Yeah.
good or bad, who will know? But hey, at least we'll have GTA 6 pre-orders opening up on Friday with their bisexual lighting. So there's that, right? But until
Yeah.
then, hope everybody enjoys, well, the start of their weekend with Friday being tomorrow. This has been the Xbox 2, episode 410. Make sure to check out our sponsor, surfshock.com/XB2 for 86% off a 2-year deal. And if you want to support us directly, you can at patreon.com/XB2. Thank you guys for being with us. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Leave us a review if you're listening to this later on iTunes or Spotify. And with that, we're out. Keep it gaming, everyone.
Rock
Later.
and roll, guys.